All right, hello everyone, and welcome to a very special collab featuring Benosphere and I. Benno, you want to say anything before I go into the whole spiel?
I squirted more mustard on my thing.
Nice, nice. I'm sure that's never going to be taken out of context at all. At all. All right. Oh, hey. So let me just quickly thank the subs that have come in. So Lone Swift, thank you for the Prime. Anonymous Gifter, thank you for gifting to Orfish. Thank you. But yeah, so today's stream is going to be something that has actually been asked for quite a bit. Not just because... Let me put it this way. Basically, if you don't know me as a game master, the way I get people into my games is I have people fill out applications through Google Forms. Now, you might have strong opinions on why are people having to fill out forms? Can't they just DM you? And I'll get into that in a moment, but long story short, I've been doing, tabletop applications for 4 or 5 years at this point. And overwhelmingly, what tends to happen is I get about 3 to 4 people who get very upset and they want to know, well, why didn't I get in? Or, I thought I spent a lot of time on my application. Why didn't I get in? And, people looking for feedback, basically. Now, of course, I did a funny voice, and really, it probably framed it a little bit harsher than I want, because obviously, sometimes I just can't take people. There's only so many seats in a game, and I can only take so many people. Those people I tell, like, hey, I just don't have a seat. Others, as you'll see here in a few minutes, others they just don't make the first cut. At all. And, I talked to Benno about this initially, and Benno was like, well, what was it, Benno? Like, at first you were against the content, and then we started thinking about it.
I don't know if it's all right to be making fun of these things for it here. I don't know if that's okay, but you know what they say? Fuck it. The people who put in these applications aren't going to be here anyway. They don't care. They've moved on to trying to get into someone else's game. So fuck it. Let's review what you don't fucking do in order to get into a game. Indeed.
And I should give the disclaimer that I have done my best to scrub personal details from these applications. But if by some chance you recognize yourself in one of these postings, sorry, I don't really...
Say nothing. Don't out yourself. Don't do it.
Just
I'll roast you live. I'm ruthless. I'll take you down.
Don't even do it in the YouTube comments. Like, even if you do it in the YouTube comments, Benno will find you.
L won't take you down. I was a little coward, but I'll do it. I like confrontation. I like it. That's where I live. What's that thing fucking Alex Trebek says? I got hot blood. I'm a human.
Something like that.
I like to chase things. There's some insane shit like that.
Oh.
I'm a man.
Oh, Lord. So, again, long story short, we're going to be reviewing some curated tabletop application I've got over the years. And we're going to also kind of look at it not just from that's that guy, but what you can sort of do to not end up like that guy and maybe make it to the interview that follows the applications. But, we're getting into the weeds here. So, Benno, before I actually push this onto the screen with the first application that we'll read, we want to have me read the question and then you read the responses, or how do we want to do that?
That is a good thought process for it here. We could switch back and forth between each one.
All right, that'll work.
So for the first one, you read the question and I'll read the response, and then the next card we can have you. I'll read the questions and then you can read the responses. As shaded and strange and whatever kind of voice that you want to choose, whatever you feel suits it here. Do I need a link to like the drive and everything for it here for the?
Yeah. Let me get you the link to the drive real quick. Streamers, we're prepared. We clearly have planned these things ahead of time.
Look at this meow. Let me distract you at the same time.
I was gonna say, I know you scrolled up to see the cat picture.
Look at meow
Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, that's an adorable kitty. That's an adorable kitty right there. All right, Google Drive. Why are you not giving me the link? There you go. All right, Benno, here is the Google Drive link, and it should be numbered. That's the word, numbered. Based on what we'll see on screen.
The number 1. Okay,
yes.
There we go.
All right, let's go to the main screen. All right, so this first 3 applications are going to be for Star Trek Adventure streams that I ran. So here is the first application, and we're going to start off very simple. I ask, so what species do you wish to play? Remember, we're in the year 2195, and species from continuing mission and custom homebrew species are fair game.
Human.
Just human? Nothing else? Just human?
All right, I'm gonna roast you on this one later, but yeah, human.
All right, and then, I ask, is there anything about you or your applications that I should know? Things like pronouns, special requirements, played with me before, your favorite color, anything you want to tell us?
My pronouns are he, him, and I have nothing else other than that.
All right. So, Beto, I can already tell you have a strong opinion. Why do you think I didn't take this application?
This is dangerous. This makes me scared immediately. So first, when it was just the up question and I didn't see anything, I didn't see anything else beforehand. That it was human, I was gonna roast you. I'm like, how dare you? Having a custom race and a custom whatnot does not immediately equate to uniqueness. Humans are awesome. You can tell a million stories with them. We literally have all of versatility on our side. You shut your mouth, stop docking, start hating on humans. Humans are dope, and there's nothing wrong with the human experience, especially if you can play out a very lived-in, fun lifestyle of whatever you're going to be playing for it here. It's 2195. Who knows how bad humans have it? Maybe you could be living in poverty. Maybe it's... I don't fucking know what game this was. Maybe some bad shit was going on. You could have a lot of baggage from that. Or maybe your life was great. And you could have a lot of... Who fucking... There's infinite stories you can tell as a human. Race should not dictate anything other than whatever maybe a couple of stat points I got and maybe a couple of free powers if I have dark vision or not. And obviously, I chose not to have dark vision. And then at the very bottom, I'm like, never mind. I'm walking away from this person.
Yeah. Like...
I don't... Literally has nothing to say about themselves, no requirements. They didn't tell you even some boring stuff like their favorite color. They responded to the first portion of my pronouns are this, and then I have not played with you before. They didn't respond to any of the other ones. It's just like I am he, him, and there is nondescript.
Exactly. And just to defend myself a little bit here, because, we love conflict. Human isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, I agree with you. Like, humans can be just as compelling in a sci-fi setting as anything else. The problem is, as we see in this application, and as Bubblubber has pointed out in chat, there's nothing for me here. Like, you're not even telling me, what kind of human? Are they from Europe? Are they from Africa? Are they from Asia?
True.
They just go human. No, nothing else, just human, and that's it. And then the reason I put the pronouns there is because obviously as a game master, I feel you should be asking that up front. But usually in my applications, I put in a silly thing at the end. Like for this one, I put in, what is your favorite color?
And they didn't do the silly thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where the people who answered color, I ended up interviewing, because they actually read the entire question. And they're like, oh, okay, I'll tell them this. And...
I think it would be more interesting if they were just like, and my favorite color is dung brown.
You know what? I'd take it.
What's your favorite? It's like, you get to the interview just so I can ask a single question. Hey, man, so I'm not going to lie. Most of what you had here, I'm not getting a good picture of who you are, but I need to know, like the devil in me needs to know, why is your favorite color dung brown? Please elaborate.
Well, Benno, it's a shitty story, so buckle up.
Shut up. Cancel. No, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to. Get me out. Get me out of here. I don't want to be. I'm gone.
You walked into that. You walked into that one, Beto. I'm sorry. You
No, it's so bad. That's the worst. That's the worst. That's a trash pun. No. No, I hate it. No. No.
Beto, I can breathe again. Let's
humor.
Let's go on to
Let's
go on to application number 2. Let's see what we got for this one.
All
right, so you read the question and I'll reply this time.
Yeah, I get to be Frankie McBadbad. Okay, where's this? Am I number 2? There we go. Okay, so this is me. I'm shuffling my notes. I got everything ready. I'm super excited to run the game. I'm like, okay, all right there, gamer. What TTRPGs have you played? It is completely fine if you've never played a TTRPG before.
Well, actually, lots of them. I may run into a character limit.
Okay. All right. Is there anything I should know about you or your application? Things like if you use certain pronouns, if you're a VTuber, have you gamed with me, ELH? That's who I'm talking as right now. That's I've inhabited that skin right now before. Oh, maybe any kind of special requirements, just etc. Just give me something.
Well, stuff goes here, but nothing special.
I see.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So. Is this a liar or?
So here's why I picked this one, because this one is the second most common type of applications. Like the first one I showed is the first most common. The second most common is something like this, where they're like, oh, well, I could go on, but I don't want to. Like, why? The whole reason for the application is for you to tell me things about yourself, and then for you to go, I don't think I have the room for it. Like, I don't understand why people do this. Like, it doesn't compute.
It is super weird because they literally have, like, to me, this showcases that they're lying, because the previous thing, they're like, I have so many games that I cannot list them all. And it's just like, okay, so you're saying you're well-versed and you've played a lot of stuff. That's sick. That's really great. And then when you come to the point of like, just tell me literally anything. Give me something, right? They're like, nah, I'm lying. I don't go. You know what? You know what?
No. Well, I think Bubble actually just hit it on the nose there, where it's like, this isn't a Tinder date. Being coy does not make me interested in you at all.
Yeah, look, I'm not. Your mysteriousness, your mystique aura doesn't like. I'm not gonna like. Ooh, I can't wait to get to find out all the other games that they have had. I guess I better interview them to find out what kind of fucking cool games they know about.
Yeah, because clearly they must be like Luke Gygax, and they must just be in so many games, and they just don't have the time to write it down. No, this doesn't work. No, that's no.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go on to number 3. All right.
I would have preferred Gygax Mercer. It's as in
Gygax Mercer. There you go. That's what we need to do. All right.
Because then you have charisma and assholeness. Well,
I have thoughts on that, but we'll get to it in a moment.
Michaelius Mercerus? Okay. Wow, that's crazy. Or are you saying that the Gygax part just destroys whatever shred of anything else they had?
Disclaimer, I think Gygax made a lovely hobby, or he made the hobby we know and love. He was one of the founding fathers. I disagree with some of his methodology when it comes to dungeoning. That's what I'll say.
You're so fucking reserved so often. Gygax was a shit!
All right.
That's right, I said it.
Here's the hot take. Tomb of Annihilation and all its derivatives, or Tomb of Horrors, whatever the fucking original name was, horrible module, never should have been written, never should have been converted to another system, should have never been run outside of that single goddamn group, because it is one of the worst modules ever to be made in the history of homebrew or official material. And that's my hot take.
Sick? Instant kill mechanics with no explanation or any kind of rundown. And then not only that, but claiming that anyone who plays this is like, he didn't want the characters to be like good. he's like just, anyone who's like proud of their character is so strong is terrible. I wanted them to like he like is encouraging metagaming.
Yep.
Right?
And you have to metagame.
It's like he wants you to think, use your brain to get past these puzzles, regardless if you're playing a fucking barbarian who maybe is like rocks for brains, right?
Mm. And yeah, it's
God
that whole
forbid
module,
that we get any
just...
role play inside of his nasty tomb of evil jerks. Not that roleplay was a factor back then. Not that
it
roleplay
really
was
wasn't.
A factor
Yeah,
back. It was literally like a murder hallway.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's...
Can your character survive my murder hallway?
Well, no, Benno,
Right,
we have to fling them into the air and fall into a false pit, like...
oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, we got to get a call back to that stream.
I can't believe we forgot all those tips and tricks we learned in all those sweet trap books. Oh, of course. Oh,
yep,
what
you
a
gotta
fool.
remember.
You just gotta have them crawl in through a hole and then have it... have modern day psycho technology that just a bunch of wheels will push you forward into a wall where you break your neck and fall into lava or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm such a fool. Why didn't I think of my breakneck, auto cheater hallway that gives you no escape chance?
Yeah, I think that.
I'm so foolish.
And no, Bubble Lubber, I haven't watched it, but if you can PM me a link on Discord, I'll try to watch it sometime tonight. But yeah, now that we've gone off track talking about Gygax and the horrible tomb, let's go to this next application. Now, this application, again, fair warning on this one, I'd like to preface this by the rest of their application, aside from this, was actually rather good. They actually told me a little bit about themselves, and they actually were able to sort of like pique my interest. But then I got to these 3 questions, and things went downhill. And I'm hoping that you guys are hopefully, I mean, some of you in chat are already picking up, but here's what happened. So I ask, applicant, what species are you thinking of playing?
I'm going to be playing an Andorian.
Oh, okay. Can you give me a brief description of your character?
They're a Andorian who has decided their life is going to be dedicated to Starfleet.
Okay. Workaholic. Okay.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, just dedicated then. Okay.
Yes.
Is there anything I should know about you or your application at this point? Anything?
No, I would prefer you stop asking me questions.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, applicant number 323. We'll be in touch, but we really won't be, so just get the fuck out.
When will we be in touch?
Oh.
I require the date in which the touch will happen.
Oh my god. Okay, small segue. Like, you know how in interviews there's always that guy that goes...
And approximately what time will the touching start?
Well, it's one of those things where, you're in an interview, the interviewer asks, so where do you see yourself in 5 years, or where do you see yourself in 2 years, whatever the stupid number of years is.
Question. Yep.
This is the type of applicant that thinks their qualifications are so great that they can just say something along the lines of, oh, working for you or being in your game. Like they don't feel that they have the need to talk about any bit of themselves. Like they just don't give you jack kind of a thing. Because again, the preface to this was the rest of the application was pretty good. But when it came to the actual... game part of the application, they just dropped the ball.
Wow. Rip.
Yeah,
I guess that's true. I mean, like maybe they didn't have like a character prepared or something, which is, I think that's usually okay because that's like what good session 0 is usually about. But I don't know. Like if the whole thing for it here was like, you're specifically looking for something. You're looking for like, hey, let me know what you want to play already. So what you're telling me is have an idea in mind when you come to session 0 in order to facilitate and better get that kind of brain churning, those ideas out. I really want to know what you want to do, where we're going to go with this, what we're going to have, I want you thinking about that now. So to me, that tells me, okay, well then I should start learning how this stuff is going on. But it seems like this dude did not want to do that. Like he just was like, basic thing, basic thing. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to do this outside of
Right. And
which is like,
I mean, I get it why they're like, oh, I'm just filling out another application. But if you don't even have a character idea, like it's one thing to say, oh, I'm flexible, or oh, I'd like to fill in based on what the others are playing. Like that's all well and good. But if you can't even give me just 2 sentences on something you'd like to play, then it's very hard for me to understand what sort of role you're looking to play in the game. Like there's nothing there. I have no way of knowing what type of character you want to play. Like,
it's true. I also don't have any idea what an Andorian is, so it's very weird to get into the headspace of this person who does know what that is.
You honestly were
I
pretty
have heard of
close.
Starfleet before, though.
You were pretty close. The Andorians are the blue-skinned one with the head antenna. They're like the head antenna are very emotive. Like when they frown, the antenna bow in, and when they're upset, the antenna do a whole bunch of other things. But
pull up a picture of this race. I'm trying to think of like all I'm thinking of is the with the Ferengi, but that's not these people.
No, those are completely different. Completely different.
The blue guys with the head antenna. The blue guys with the head antenna. Blue guys, head antenna.
Oh, Lord. I was going to say, yeah, as Genesis just said, if you ever saw Enterprise, it would be Shran, if you know who Shran was. But I don't think you watched Enterprise, or at least you don't strike me as the type to have watched Enterprise.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, I've never seen this race.
Yeah.
Oh, that is literally why I have no idea what they look like, because I had never got to see these guys.
Yeah, they
which one was Enterprise? Yeah.
Enterprise was the one that came out around 2001, 2002.
Which is the one with Picard?
The one with Picard is the Next Generation. So that was before Voyager was when that came out.
That is the one that I've seen the most episodes of. Uh-huh. And then the rest is like 1 to 0 episodes.
Yeah.
I also remember stuff really early on from when I was like a little baby kid when my dad was watching it. Oh my God. And I'm like, man, is that 7 of 9 lady here? And he's like, you better believe she's here, son. She'll always be here for all of us.
Listen.
That's great. That's all I knew was like 7 of 9 was a lady, and that she would like used to be a Borg, I think.
You actually are pretty close. Yeah, I'm not going to say that 7 of 9 is the poster child of Star Trek Voyager, but she steals the show, in my opinion, quite a bit. So
hell yeah.
But yeah, so 7 of 9 can step on me. Well done, Bubble Lover. Well done. And honestly, Bubble Lover, you're not alone in that. There are many people who would agree with that sentiment. Many people.
Yeah, I've never seen this race before. Wow.
No, they're honestly really cool. They're really cool.
Well,
literally cool because they live on an ice planet.
Who are the space elves? Those
are Vulcans.
That's Spock, right?
Those are Vulcans.
Yeah. Super long life, eidetic memory. They have the fingies that can paralyze you.
Yep. Nerve pension, all that. Yep. All good things.
Yeah. What's these guys' special powers? And they do something with their little
They can resist extreme cold because their entire planet is literally an ice ball. They also have sort of a martial society where they have not so much ritualistic, but sort of like their duels are done with like ice picks instead of like guns or swords. Like they use ice picks to fight each other. So they're also sort of a foil to the Vulcans, where the Vulcans are very logical and very much pacifist. The Andorians are not as hot-headed as Klingons, but they're still very impulsive, and they're very, I guess, hot-blooded would be a good descriptor.
Passionate people. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because that guy's entire thing wasn't very passionate.
Not at all. Like, there's no passion here. Yeah.
Why did he want to join Starfleet? I assume, like, maybe.
I don't know. Like, if he had just given me a sentence more, I might have interviewed him, but who knows? But speaking of passion, we're now going to get into Vampire the Masquerade applications. And I'm sure Benno is going to have some very strong opinions on some of this, but let's go to the next app. So this application was for when I ran Miami by Night, which I probably should go back and unlist because I just think it's a very bad game that I ran, but who knows. Anyway, I believe it's your turn to read the questions, and I will do my best to...
Here we go. I'm Vampire Masquerade DML version now. Let's go. Dab. All right. Please limit yourself to no more than one paragraph at this stage. If chosen to proceed to the next round of applicants, you will have a chance to modify and focus your ideas further.
Well, I want to play a goth celebrity that caught the attention of an anarchist. The kind of the social and cunning type, but not good at telling the truth.
Yes. And I completely forgot to read the paragraph above it, which was give me a brief description of your character. Okay, so that's 2 sentences. Okay, that's less than a paragraph. Did they follow the instructions? All right. Goth celebrity caught up the attention of an anarchist. Spelling is hard. It's okay.
It is.
Social and cunning, but not good at telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Okay. What brought your character to Miami?
Well, there was a convention that ended up going longer than expected.
Okay. What? Are you a vampire? What are you doing at a convention? Like a vampire convention? Got a convention? All right, okay. We're not gonna worry about it. Is there anything not covered thus far that I need to know about you or your character? For instance, if you have special new pronouns you'd like me to refer to you by, have certain subjects you'd like to see or avoid, anything at all, please just expand upon yourself.
Nope.
All right. Okay, Elle, what's going on with this one? So obviously, other than the not responding, which, honestly, it feels like every time that they say no, this is going in the bin.
Pretty much,
like,
yeah.
You got to tell me something, right? You got to give me something to work off of.
Mm-hmm. But no, I think it wasn't so much the no that I threw this one away for. Like, I just included the no because I thought it was important to see the kind of application this was attached to. What actually I didn't like about this one was 2 things, and one of them you pinpointed was, why is a kindred going to a convention? Like, that doesn't track in the world of darkness. Like, unless it's some nighttime convention that's, I don't know, meant to be...
Con? Like, what? Yeah. What kind of convention are you going to? That's like... I'm like, do you mean Elysium?
Yeah, like...
Elysium? If Elysium took too long, then that's a... Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's not good. Like, Elysium's only supposed to be for so long. And yeah, Bubble Lubber, really, it sort of screams of didn't read the lore. But really, the most reason I threw this out was actually in that first response where they're like, not good at telling the truth. And you're probably going, well, what's wrong with a not truthful character? So I've been GMing for, God, how long has it been? 8 years? 9 years at this point? And overwhelmingly, my experience with characters or players that come to me and say, I don't want to tell the truth all the time, or I want to play chaotic neutral, or I want to be the wild card. 9 times out of 10, that player is going to be low random and is going to deliberately almost instigate inter-party PvP. That has been my overwhelming experience. And especially for a game like Vampire the Masquerade, which, you know, yes, you lie to other kindred, other vampires because you don't want them to know your secrets. That's okay, but there's a difference between saying, oh, I'm sort of a mysterious individual that never tells the truth, and, oh, I'm not telling the truth. You see what I'm saying? Where there's a difference in the way that this was presented than what I was expecting for a vampire game.
I also get the feeling that they might be a bit young, and like maybe this is their first TTRPG. I'm
Could
not
be.
100% sure.
Could be. And I would say, we haven't really come across one of the applications yet where, someone indicates that they're a new player or this is their first TTRPG. I actually give people who are new a little bit of leeway. Like, If
Yeah.
I knew that this person was brand new to TTRPGs or this was their very first vampire game, I would have given them more of a chance. Like, I would have
Do
looked
you
past some of the shortcomings.
in your application, do you usually have like a starting box that's like a check here if you are completely new to TTRPGs?
I generally do, yes. I either have some
Okay.
form of a checkbox or I have basically a question that says, do you have any tabletop experience? If so, what? And then like a disclaimer that says, hey, if you're new, that's completely okay. Just tell me you're new. Um, and again, people will generally tell me if they're new, but
Yeah.
again, for
Do you
this
find the people who are
application,
like, oh no, if I tell him I'm new, he won't want to play with me. I'm gonna lie and say I'm not.
yep, had that happen before too, where it's very obvious to me when somebody is what's the expression, inflating their resume or inflating their application, I guess. So
Do we have any of those?
we do, and actually you're gonna love this next one because you're gonna read 3 parts. Like, this application is so bad and is also so good and cringe that it's 3 parts. So I just
Honestly,
buckle in.
these have been very tame,
Oh, wait till
and
you see
of
this
the
one.
people that these were, I don't feel like they should be feel too bad. Like
Yeah,
they're not. I wouldn't even call them that guy level, right? Now,
right.
obviously, we don't have the rest of the story to go along with. Oh well, I met up with them, and then they vomited into my shoes, and in character they tried to turn into a goose and give me the old Zeus treatment, right?
Oh, God.
Or any of that nightmare stuff. But
Hmm.
at the same time, you only get so far. You only get so far because of your experience. You don't get it. You don't let it get to the level where the guy can come in here and start Zeusing up all over the place.
And I actually was going to put one of those in as an example, but it was so sexually explicit that to make it Twitch safe, there was nothing legible. Like, it was that bad. Um, and to answer Lone Squift's
Oh,
question, I actually do get a few apps that go full fanboy, but I've never had someone be desperate about it. I've had people that are like, oh, I love your games. I've always wanted to play with you. And, if the rest of their application is good, I generally talk to those people. Um, but here's the next application, and we're going to start to get into the weird and the why was this applied kind of a thing. So we're going to start tame. We're going to start at the very top of this application. So it's still for Miami by Night. It's still for Vampire.
okay.
So my first question to you, Benno, Mr. Applicant, is do you have and are you comfortable with using a webcam? Because a webcam's required for this game, and I can't really make an exception. And you're gonna need a green screen, though you don't really need to get one until after you've been selected. Like, are you okay with that? Are you good with that?
I am not okay with this.
Um, okay. Do you have a decent microphone and common microphone etiquette? Like stuff like good quality, voice clear, no background noise. Are you good with that?
As you can clearly tell from my current microphone that I am using, I have an exceptional microphone.
So this is part 1 of 3. So it's probably pretty obvious why I didn't, take this applicant because of this.
It
But
literally needed it.
literally needed a webcam. But again, here's the thing. You know what? If someone's like, oh, I don't have a webcam, but I can buy one, that's different. And I've had people do that before for my games. Where they're like, hey, I don't have a webcam yet. I'm willing to buy one. That's okay. I'm willing to take that. So, I kept reading in this applicant. So let's go to part 2. Here is where shit starts to hit the fan. So, applicant, give me a brief description of your character and try to limit yourself to no more than a paragraph. And of course, if you continue on, you can modify and focus this idea further.
Okay, one sec. I just read the first. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
How do I mental state? Here we go. Wumbalicio is the world's prettiest Nosferatu. She is so beautiful that Toreadors are always jealous and trying to kill her. Many princes have tried to get a boon from her so they can have gorgeous Nosferatu in their cities too.
Okay. What brought your character to Miami?
A sick-ass fashion show where I was the frontliner in the daylight.
So, small disclaimer.
Midday.
For those of you that have no idea what a Nosferatu is and why this is a big deal, this sort of goes back to, do they know the system? Do they know the lore? And without going on a 20-minute rant, a Nosferatu is basically the ugly vampire, where the whole reason that, or not the whole reason, their whole
You want to show them a
shtick-
picture? Do you want to pull up a pic on screen?
Yeah, let me see if I can
Show
find
a pic.
Let me see if I can find a picture real quick. Nosferatu are basically ugly. Like, that is their whole clan bane, or one of those.
If you've seen the old movies or the old super old school movie known as Nosferatu,
Yeah, that's
that
the one I'm
guy
pulling
is
up.
the most hideous thing. That, like, he's a super gross looking dude. So they styled the whole the entirety of the line of vampires to be mega ugly. That's like their main character trait, is that
Right.
they're all super, super ugly.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot live in a normal human world, and as such, they got to do a bunch of other stuff that's like secret agenty.
Right. It's one of those things where even if they're out at night and somebody sees a Nosferatu, they're either going to start attacking them because they're so ugly, or they're just going to say that person is so ugly that they can't be a normal human, and it just breaks the masquerade. So I threw on screen a quick picture. So yeah, it's kind of that same thing where you've got the angled face, the animalistic eyes, and the teeth. This is not someone who's running a fashion show, ever. And as Orfish has just pointed out, for those of you that actually want to get into the mechanics of things, a Nosferatu has to have a 0 in appearance, whereas every other character in Vampire the Masquerade has a stat between 1 and 5. So to have a 0 should be telling, or at least I hope it's obvious what that means for a character. So for this applicant to go, Wumbelina is the world's prettiest Nosferatu, and that the Toreador are always jealous. Like, it doesn't work. This can't be a Nosferatu. No. But then they went on and talked about how princes have tried to get boons so that she can sire more Nosferatu. Like, what?
What does that even mean? What are you talking about? That's not how that works. You can't. Vampire doesn't fuck vampire and make vampire baby.
Mm-hmm.
What?
It does not. So at this point, this is already an applicant I would throw out because this is bad. This is pretty bad.
This is super weird because, like, it seems like they know what a Nos is, they know what a Toreador is, they know what a prince is, but then they're just like, this is telling me that I want you to bend every rule. Just bend the rules. I get to play an OP character that don't make no sense.
And yeah, Lone Squiff, that was my first thought of, maybe they, read the book and didn't grok what it meant, or maybe they played the video game and didn't track for them. But here's the kicker. Here's part 3 of the application where this hopefully comes full circle. So, is there anything covered thus far that I need to know about you or your character, Mr. Applicant?
I do not own a webcam, but I think I'm a good enough player to make an exception. I have been in many chronicles and LARPs with my character, so I have connections everywhere. I do not want to see any ugly Nosferatu unless we are chasing them out of the city or killing them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
A lot to unpack there.
Man. Oh, man. Oh, man.
It's just like, what do you even say to that? Like, what do you eat them in the sun? Yeah, that's what we need to do. We just need to eat them in the sun.
What are you talking about? What connections to what? Connections to what? Are we talking in game or out of game? You said LARP and Chronicles, and you've connected.
You're just like, what does that mean? Like, what does this mean that you're gonna call up the nearest LARP and have them vamp on my front lawn?
Kick me out of the LARP that I'm not in?
Like, what do you want from me? What are you trying to say?
You won't get to be I don't know, Franklin Miller's real-esque games for reals, the part of the Whatnot Chronicles. What?
Oh my God, Felix, you put it brilliantly. Like, this also might have been a person that they will finally make your channel take off. I've actually had a few people like that. I've had people that have said, hey, if you have me as a player, I will make your channel pop off. And it's just, I thought about putting one of those in this sort of round. But again, the problem was when I scrubbed all the personal details, there wasn't anything to read. Like, these people were, I guess, peacocking is the right word? Is I guess peacocking, where they're just like, look at all the amazing things that I've done, you know, kind of a thing. So I do get applicants like that. I do. They generally don't go far. But yeah, that's one of the, like, this one we just did, Benno, like, that is one of the worst vampire ones I've ever had, ever. And there was a part of me that I was like, should I interview them just to have a story? Like, I almost interviewed this person just to see what they were about.
That's
like,
crazy. I would have, you know what? Sometimes I think you're like, okay, I have to do this just for the story. So when you get this feeling again,
do it.
You do it for the story.
Gotta go for the story.
Do it for the story. Maybe record only audio.
Well,
don't really release it to anyone, but just for yourself to, like, remind yourself what the fuck the story was about, because you might not be able to keep all the details.
Right. Yeah.
Don't share it to anyone, just for you, but you remember yourself. Not worth it? I don't know.
I think it's worth it. It's content.
I don't know. If it's like, the thing is though, like, keep in mind, it's a good story. You don't go past that step. You go to the interview to just experience the person and be like, what am I getting into? What is going to be too much can go wrong in just the...
I don't know. I mean, what are they going to do? Because usually...
What are they going to do? They're going to come to Elle's house and eat Elle's ass?
Yeah. Like, it's one of those things for...
I know where you live now, Elle. I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to eat your ass.
Well, okay. I mean, should I pay you? Because I'm into that. So, no, anyway... No, so for those have been, and we'll get to that in a moment, Gray Matter. Actually, I think the next application speaks to that. It's not yours, but it speaks to that same sort of thing. When it comes to the next step, like, obviously there's this interview, or there's this application, then there's an interview. If it's a webcam game, I just do a webcam check to make sure that they have a webcam and it's not anything offensive in the background, which I think I've said on stream more than once that I've had some very interesting on webcam stories, which we might get into a little bit later. But this would be the kind of interview where I wouldn't do a webcam check. I would literally just turn on Discord and just sort of sit back in my chair and go...
yeah, we're just gonna talk. There's no visual that you're gonna have associated with it. You're just gonna be like, hey, don't worry about the webcam or anything for it here. I just want to have a chat.
Yeah, just because, again, content, story. I want to know what's going on.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one. So the next one is from a Fallout game, and is actually going to sort of answer what Gray Matter's question is, but I need to explain why. But let's get through the application, and then I'll explain.
Okay. Is it because they didn't have any spurs that jingled? Because it's fucked up that if you did that to them, Al. That's
no, not at all. Not at all.
Right. Okay.
So I think it's your turn to read. I think.
Yes. I think you're the gamer this time. All right. All right. So, do you have any streaming experience? Now, no experience is required, but if you have some, I'd love to know.
No, sorry, I don't.
Again, completely fine. Is there anything I should know about you or your applications? Pronouns, respects, VTuber, played with me before. Do you like the color yellow? Do you think starships are cool? What kind of butts you like? Go.
I don't know about any of that, but I'll be moving across the country soon, but it shouldn't affect, it shouldn't affect the game as I play off my laptop. Now, I'm going to take the reins for a moment and be very clear about something. Okay. I did not deny them because they didn't have streaming experience. Like, I am very much about getting people who have never had stream experience before and bringing them onto the screen, because in my experience, they can actually be some of the most amazing role players that you've ever seen. They just have never had the chance to share or stream before. So that's not why I declined this one. What caused me to decline this one was the moment about moving across country. And again, I want to be very clear on this. It's totally okay if you're moving across country or your housing situation isn't like super, super stable. What struck me about this application, though, was this was the type of application where I went through it and read it. Because again, their characters were good and their characters were compelling. Like, I was interested. So I actually took this person to the next step. I actually interviewed them. And what I found out was I actually had them where they were on their laptop and, I turned on my headphones. I'm like, so, hi, I'm ELH, what's going on with you? How you doing? Standard small talk. Okay. And immediately it became clear that this person's laptop was from before the internet was invented, or at least that's what it sounded like, because I could not understand this person. We tried for like 15, 30 minutes to try and figure out some solution that would work. But their laptop, this laptop was old. In fact, I was amazed it even ran Discord. It was that old. And it was something where I'm never going to require someone to buy a whole ass new computer to play in my game. But
when I see some communicate.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I chose this in particular, because there was already not a red flag, but there was a note of concern where someone is playing off a laptop. Now, obviously, again, if you're in a home game, playing off of a laptop isn't a problem. If there's key clicks, not a problem. If there's background noise, whatever, you don't have to worry about that. But for a streamed, recorded game like the ones I run, there's gotta be a bit of sound quality snobbishness, because if you're not audible and you're not understandable, then I can't, GM for you because I don't understand what the hell you're saying, but the viewer can understand what you're saying. So it's kind of a triple threat there. Now, the other thing, and this is where I'm going to speak to Gray Matter directly, I get applicants that tell me that they are in a not stable schedule. And again, perfectly okay. But if I don't think your schedule is going to be solid, or if I don't think your ability to make the game is, like, if it's in question whether or not you'll be able to make the session, I generally maybe put you on a wait list. Like, okay, if this person drops, I'll get this other person and we'll see how they do. But for like a first foray out, I generally sort of, not, again, throw out, but I generally wait list somebody who I don't know if their schedule is going to work. So I mean, I don't mind telling you this, Gray Matter. You have been on my wait list consistently. So I do want to maybe get you in a game. It's just a matter of giving other applicants a chance first, if that makes sense. It's one of those things where
scheduling is always, I think scheduling is always like that nightmare area. It's the thing that kills most games. Once you have, everyone who can actually be able to play.
Mm-hmm. And again, as you just said, scheduling is, even in non-streamed games, it is essential for the game to work. And for a streamed game, if you don't give me enough heads up that you're not going to make a session, then the session doesn't run, because I have, so much content prepared, and if you're not there, then that sort of ruins the experience for everybody else. But yeah, let's Let's move on to the next one before we get too into the weeds here. So the next one,
even just to
what you got?
Let's go back into the weeds. It's nice in here. The weeds are cool. Let me be in the weeds.
Sure,
I want to be in the weeds. To go off of your point, recall how, in terms of my situation, for everyone who doesn't know, I have consistently been playing D&D and various other TTRPGs religiously, without pause, with a stable group of friends that I've had since we were very, very small children, for about 17 years at this point, consistently, once a week, very, very often, with almost no breaks. Like, we will finish a game, and then we will be like a week or maybe 2 or 3 weeks of one shots, like, hey, how do you feel about playing this next? How do you feel about playing this system next? How do you feel about playing this system next? And then we'll find a new stable game, and it will just go right back into it, and it'll be another year or two of that stable game, and we'll just finish that one, and then we'll go on to the next one and the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Even us, in this situation that is a holy golden grail of situations, still have things, and we are all willing to, like, set fire to our personal lives, set fire to, like, our responsibilities to make sure games work. Even us have been killed off 1 week, 2 weeks, sometimes an entire month we will not get to play because of horrible things that will happen that make it so that we just have no choice to come together. We literally cannot come together.
Mm-hmm.
It happens, and it is the strongest killer of any kind of D&D or tabletop RPG game that there is, bar none. And that is from my extraordinarily privileged vantage point of having a golden goose situation.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean,
right, we could leave the reads.
No, you're good. I mean, and it's a very valid point you bring up because, again, for a home game, it's okay if you go a month without playing because you know the other people, you'll play with them at some point. With a stream game, if you don't stream for a month, then your viewers aren't going to turn in. Chances are your players have already, either flaked or have other commitments. Like, there's no momentum there. Like, there's nothing keeping the person there like there would be for, like, an in real life game like yours, Benno, where there's no, what's the word I want?
And we have so much history and whatnot, so we know that the game is going to be good because the GM's amazing, puts their, like, heart and soul into making the world. I've had situations and characters that I've grown fond of. We have, like, a rotating cast of NPCs that we just fucking know. Like, you can tell. It's literally like a bunch of actors coming back into play. Like, I know who these characters are. I know who that is. I have a general idea of who they are, but they're in a different role this time. Oh, maybe this time they're not, Federico, the one-armed scientist. This time we're in a modern day setting, so they're a doctor, Dr. Federico, who's like going out there and saving patients' lives. And God, do I have that horrible feeling he is going to get in a very, very awful hand accident. Just a horrible, horrible hand accident. That's really weird that he has 2 hands. I wonder for how long.
And honestly, those are the best kinds of games. Like, no joke, if any of you have a game like Benno's, treasure that shit. Like, I'm not saying you need to ruin your marriage. If you have one, ruin your marriage for the game. Like, no. Full ass, no. Let's just make that statement. Ruin your marriage to play this game. Yes. That's what I'm telling you.
The thing is, though, is that the best case scenario is that your wife's also in the game, and then it just strengthens your marriage.
There you go. Oh, God,
and
that's
a weird D&D sex.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, my God. That... Maybe we should make a stream of that where we're just like, okay, so here's what I...
You want to weird D&D sex with me? What?
Let me clarify. So, and I think we're gonna have to make a stream of this because it's a long story. But when I was first starting as a game master back in college, I GM'd for 2 couples.
No.
And couple 1 was your standard, let's call them party goers, I think is how we'll phrase it, where they were in frats, they were in sororities, they were partying, etc., etc. Nothing wrong with that.
Awesome.
Second couple is more of a conservative mindset. I don't mean that in a political sense. I mean more of just a general sense where they're like, oh, we don't really party, or oh, we don't really drink, or oh, we keep to ourselves and we do our schoolwork. Like not a preppy person, but just kind of a
shut-ins, eh? Okay.
Maybe not full shut-ins. Also, hi, Lord Exile. But okay, so you have these two diametrically opposed groups, and you'd think that, oh, they're going to hate each other, or oh, they're not going to go off of each other quite well. Actually, they weren't. They went far beyond my expectations. They got along amazingly. And
that's so cool.
Well, here's the kicker. We get in about 6 months into the game, and what happens is boyfriend 1 has the in-game hots for girlfriend 2. And it's always been, like casual flirting, like nobody's really gone over a line or nobody's done things. And we've all kept it adult, like we faded to black if need be, nothing like that. But there's a scene, and I have to be careful here because of Toss, but there's a scene that comes up and boyfriend 1 expresses himself in a way that would get people arrested in real life, is how I'll put it. And at first,
it's too vague. You gotta go more tactical. No. You can come on. What does that mean? He strips naked. He fucking busts out he grabs his wiener and starts helicoptering around. What are you talking about?
Actually, you're pretty close. He actually, what he did is he didn't have a implement he didn't have I forget what is it, a somatic tool? Somatic. He didn't have he didn't have the component. Like
focus.
He didn't have the physical component he needed. So he looked at me and said, "I want to cast a Gios on girlfriend 2's character." And there was a reason for it. Like this girlfriend 2's character was possessed at the time. Was obviously being controlled by someone else. And they were doing amazing. Again, amazing role playing. Loved it. But he's like, yeah, so I don't have the physical component. Could I whip out my dick and helicopter it around, and would that work as a component? And I just looked at him and I'm like, what?
It's not that bad. They're in college. It's goofy. It's fine.
Here's the thing. I wrote it off as a joke. I'm like, sure. Why the fuck not? Roll me some dice. And, we all had a laugh about it. But as the game went on, more of that came out from the other players, to the point where it gets in the evening where I'm like doing fade after black after fade after black after fade after black. And eventually I just look at the two, like I take an objective step back and I look at the two groups of boyfriend girlfriends. Mm-hmm. And I realize very quickly that they're going to have a foursome after this. They are going to have a legitimate gangbang after this session. And
let's go! You facilitated a fucking hot and heavy. Oh my. Okay, but that's unfortunate that you had to be there for their ERP.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the story ended. The story ends with me saying, "Well, I mean, that's all the content I got for tonight. If you guys want to check out." And almost immediately, all four of them jump up and they're like, yeah, we have a thing I totally forgot about. Yeah." And then obviously they get outside and, they start to move to their vehicles, but I have a window that looks out onto the driveway. They're legit hammering on their cell phones. They're throwing keys at each other. And I'm just like, God damn it.
Oh my God.
So where that story actually ends is, I haven't checked in with those four in a while, but if I remember correctly, all four of them moved to Utah. And are in a Mormon situation where they just have multiple husbands, multiple wives. It was weird. Of course, if that's your thing, go for it. It was just man, I am the reason for this person's multiple marriage.
You
holy
gave
shit.
them a polyamorous sexual awakening through D&D.
So it was just
that's awesome.
I mean, it's not a story I get to tell often.
Cool.
Orphish, is it not the Mormons? I don't
think it's Utah. The Mormons. No, I don't think that's
Is it not the Mormons?
I think Mormons are strictly not that stuff. It's what's more like, complete like, no, his and hers and whatnot. You know what? I don't know shit about religion.
I don't either. That's why I'm
rolling
concerned.
a nat one here on religion. Why am I even talking? Like, why am I even saying words? They're clearly wrong. I have no clue how Mormons work.
Yeah, I just know it's something with Utah. Something in Utah is where people have multiple husbands, wives, whatever. I just know it's Utah something. But yeah, let's move on before we...
No, that's awesome. That's so cool. Hell yeah. That's sick. And I'm assuming that you probably like had the final session, everything before things got.
Oh yeah, like I gave them a proper send off, as befitting.
Thanks so much for playing with me, and I hope you guys have a great life.
Pretty much, yeah. That's kind of how it went. It was like, and here's how your characters wrap up. You all end up ruling a kingdom together, and that's the game. Have fun. But yeah, I don't get to tell that story a whole lot, but.
All right, Felix. Yeah, they get a happy ending. Nee, poke, poke, wink, wink.
Oh, you know what, Genesis? I might be conflating Mormons with Denobulans. I don't know how my brain made that connection, but I think you might be onto something there. I think you're onto something.
Sorry. The Whatians?
The Denobulans. They're also from Star Trek, which is probably why you don't.
For a second, I was ready. I'm like, he's gonna D's nuts me right now.
Do you want me to?
D's nuts me right now. Of course. Not a D's nuts joke. Actual race from Star Trek. Let's go. Gaming God. I was ready for a Star Trek joke. You wasted your chance to D's nuts me. You'll never get another. I'm too crafty for it. And let's slap back to these stories. That was awesome. That's a sick story. That's cool. That's a sick. Bust that out more. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, context for this one. So, Bubble Lubber, this is not your application before you worry, but this is from a Lancer game, which I was recruiting for. Now, for those of you that don't know Lancer, it's basically a mecha game. It's quote unquote one of the better mecha games out there. So,
are there a bunch, and are they bad?
There's Mechaton, which is R. Talsorian. I think that's too much crunch. There's also, what is it, Zero Century, something like that. But basically, before Lancer, your mecha games were very few and far between, and those that existed were very crunchy, very, very crunchy. Like Battletech. Battletech's a good example.
Oh, wow. Is Battletech that crunchy?
Yeah, it's real crunchy.
Damn. Is it ported over from, like, the Battletech tabletop?
Oh, yeah.
Where they had, like, the mini wargaming and whatnot?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, oofers. Okay.
So, Lancer is kind of a lot of people's first TTRPG mecha game, where they get to pilot a big, cool robot that does cool things. So, let's do this application, and then I'll provide some context. But... So, there's 40k apps. 40k apps are at the end. You'll see, Genesis. But Mr. Applicant, what sort of background, if any, did you have in mind for your character? And try to limit yourself to like 4 sentences. And I don't really need an essay. And if you're stuck, you can always just pick a background out of the core PDF.
Blankules is an ex-prophet / chosen one who was tasked by a Horus cult to build a mech that Ra could inhabit. After getting a glimpse of Ra and realizing their full scope, he temporarily went insane and ran from the cult. He has been taking engineering jobs ever since, very normally, not remembering at all that he's an insane Ra builder, where he built a machine to house the god Ra from, the Egyptian pantheon. My mech houses a god.
Yeah. And I'm glad you picked up on that, because for those who don't know the Lancer setting, Ra, the best way I can describe Ra is a paracausal god that thought themselves into existence and is the reason why faster than light technology even exists in Lancer. Horus is a cult / organization that worships Ra. So at first, it was like, okay, you're part of the Horus cult. You want to mess with Ra. But what really stood out to me about this one was as you said, it sounded like they wanted to have literal Raw the character in their mech, which, to make a 40K reference, would be like saying, oh, the God Emperor is on my ship. Like, just casually, just dropping that out of nowhere.
Yeah, just, he doesn't do anything. He just chills out on my ship away from Terra.
Or
anyway, so actually, my actual power armor, I took a hammer and hammered Korn into it. Korn, the god, is trapped inside of my armor. He's in there. You want to check?
I actually once had an applicant. I don't think I screenshotted that.
No, you got to
applicant.
be kidding me. You're lying.
I think
we'll
that's
find
too
out. Stupid. You got to be kidding.
We'll find out when we get to the Warhammer section if I put that in. We'll find out.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so I guess what I'm saying about this application, don't make your mech, armor, weapon, whatever, possessed by a god. Like, don't do that. Just don't do that. Just don't do that.
This screams of like a power fantasy sort of situation, which is like, okay, maybe it's their first time or something, and like realizing that you don't sort of do that. But you know and here's the thing, is that like, people are going to have that stage. I definitely did.
Oh, I think every role player does.
It was when I was a little kid and everything for it here. And now my GM, who I've been playing with for forever, was kind enough to, enable my being a piece of shit, power fantasy garbage stuff. But you get it out of your system. You get it out of your system fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And like, it did not last too long, I don't think.
Right.
But eventually you stop being this psycho and you just kind of like, okay, it's out of your system and everything for it there.
Right.
The thing is, though, I don't know if it ever would it have left my system if I didn't have the DM that I had, if I didn't have someone who was so kind and so reasonable as to just let me have a bit of fun with that kind of bullshit, right?
Well, I mean, and, I'll speak to my experience in that regard where, the first D&D character I ever ran was back in D&D 4th edition. And I wanted to be like this super special snowflake combination of a Dragonborn and a Tiefling. And I wanted to have a certain sort of special build I'd looked up online and people were saying was all good. Like, I was both min-maxing and being a snowflake at the same time.
Wow.
But, the story
min-maxer.
Story has a happy ending. The GM at the time was like, yeah, whatever, come in, play whatever, as long as you have fun, who gives a shit? And believe it or not,
do you think you'll ever do that, or have you done that before yourself? Or
I've done it before, and we'll get to that in a moment. But this group, that GM that said, all right, Mr. Edgelord, come in, have a good time. I've been to Gen Con with these, or not Gen Con, I've been to PAX West with these people. I've met them in real life. I still occasionally do stuff with them on Monday evenings. These are sort of the people that if ever I have issues in life, I know I can reach out to these people. Like, these are good people. And it was one of those things where, like, after the character died and I made a new character that was far less of a snowflake, I just remember at the end of the campaign and, we're getting a flashback of what happened to this character. And it gets to my, this edgelord, this snowflake's character at the time. And the GM looks at me and he says, so what happened to Miss Edgelord? And I'm like, well, she died. And she's like, no. You can't just kill a character like that. You gotta give her a good send off. And I'm like, okay, fuck. I guess she kills Bahamut and takes over the throne. And because we were playing in person, like, everybody at the table, like, just sort of like raises their beers. And I'm like, did I miss something? And they tell me that they had a long-standing bet, ever since I joined the campaign, that one of my characters would try to kill a god. Like, no joke. So I think one of the people ended up winning like $200 or something off that. Like, it was pretty bad. But it was deserved. Like, I grew out of the phase, as you said. I grew out of it. So would I have done that for this person? Would I have done that for this applicant? I would have if their application did not go downhill. And it was some of the similar problems we've seen before, where they didn't give me any information about themselves. They didn't give me any, like, details about what they've played before. it was one of those situations where this was the highlight of their application. So there just wasn't enough there for me to interview them, unfortunately. So I guess my advice, to kind of end on a positive note here before we move on, if you think you're an edgelord, or if you think you're a new time player, or you're not sure if something fits in the setting, put that in your application, or say that to the GM. Be like, hey, look, I'm new. I don't know if this works. I have this really crazy idea. Would this work for your game? 9 out of 10 times, if your GM is worth their shit, they're going to work with you and make that thing happen. But what you don't want to do is straight up say, this is what I want to play. I don't want to play anything else. I want to be the snowflake. Because, and I'm just going to be honest here, even in a non-streamed game, if you're a snowflake, that means the other players are just kind of twiddling their thumbs and waiting for your snowflake moments to be over so that they can play, if you follow where I'm going with that. Yep. Yeah, let's move on. What do we got next here? I think next we are on, what are we on? Yes, we're on to D&D. So now we get to see some D&D applications.
Oh,
and these are where the edgelords come out.
Dungeons and the Dragons.
Yep.
They have this is the one, guys.
Yep.
This is the one, the king. The one where all the applications go. Where you only get 6 applications for each of those other games. This one has 24,000.
Actually, to give a small peek at the numbers, usually I get about 10 to 20 applicants for my non-D&D games. For this, oh yeah, thank you for the hydrate. In fact, let me do that before I say anything else. All right, good. My throat is no longer killing me.
That's what hydrate sounds like.
So context for this game. I once tried to run an all-evil party of Tiamat paladins or Tiamat worshippers. And it was very much a tongue-in-cheek poke at Power Rangers at the time. Like, oh, you're the red paladin, or oh, you're the green ranger, something like that. And confetti didn't go off. I don't know why. I'll look into that later. But it was one of those things where, and I'm getting to that, Lord Exile. It was one of those things where, again, my applicants range 10 to 20. For D&D, for this game, for the all evil party, no shitting you. 75 applications. 75.
Yep.
And a lot of them, again, had that similar problems we've seen in the past where they didn't give me enough information or they didn't really get into it. But, let me quick answer this. Hi, chat. I haven't watched any of my streams. What is a good adventure to watch first on YouTube? Let me see. Thranuli. Hopefully I said that correctly. If not, yell at me. What I would recommend is if you're into Star Trek, go ahead and check out Star Trek Euthenia or Star Trek Arcadia. Or if you like more of a wacky feel or maybe kind of a jokey feel, check out Fallout Motley Heights. That's a very good one as well. I'm trying to think if there's any other good ones I would recommend. But, hey, Anonymous Gifter. Thank you so much for giving Sunbay a sub. Thank you. But yeah, trying to think, where was I going that before chat popped up there? Oh, right. So 75 applicants. I had to narrow them down.
Triple.
Yeah, like triple, quadruple. But
that's just how popular D&D is, which is crazy that the stranglehold that motherfucker has on the TTRPG genre.
Oh yeah.
Like genuinely strangling your boys.
Oh yeah. Now, the reason I give that preface is because, again, it's an evil party. I'm expecting some degree of evilness, some little bit of edginess. But I pick these applicants for what you'll see to be a very important reason. So I think it's my turn to answer the questions, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll read it for it here. So I'm going to put on my ELH glasses. Here we go. I'm going to read to you a bit of an excerpt here. So... Lady Tiamat has told the Chromatic Crusade.
Like I said, it was a Power Rangers thing.
the Chromatic Crusaders to go spread the word on the prime material plane. What does that mean to you? Please limit yourself to no more than one single paragraph.
Well, of course, what that means is we must bring the knowledge of the goddess to the people through education, both desired and forced education.
Okay. That's okay. Okay. Maybe you just worded it a little weird, but like, okay. You know what? We could work with that. We could work with that. Your evil character encounters a crying child. How do they react? One paragraph, please.
Well, what I say is, child, fear not the woes of the world, for soon all shall be consumed in holy fire. Take solace in the knowledge that your suffering will end and be at peace.
Okay. Your evil character notices a shrine to Bahamut as they're passing through a town. How do they react, if at all?
Give me one sec. Yeah. Well, what I do is I take a moment to pray at the shrine and ensure it's well kept. If found to be in disrepair, then I'm going to fix it and then find those responsible for the care and punish them.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah. So let's break this down. Let's break this down. So that last question,
This is not an evil character. What's going on here?
Yeah. So that very last, like this last question, I put in the Bahamut because one, I wanted to see who would read it as Tiamat and not read correctly. So nothing except for the forced education bit. Nothing in this applicant tells me that this is an evil character. Nothing tells me that this character is knowledgeable of what Tiamat is. And it's not like I'm expecting like a fucking 3-paragraph essay on how amazing Tiamat is. But for those who don't know, Tiamat is the evil dragon lady. Bahamut is the platinum daddy of all dragons and goodness. So
why you gotta call him daddy, huh? Why you gotta be like
because
that?
I knew you'd respond that way.
You gotta do this?
Okay. Well, you know what you should do. These nuts.
What should I do? Huh?
You should do these nuts.
No, that doesn't work. You can't these nuts me. That doesn't work in that time frame. You can't. No.
Listen, I'll get good at it eventually. But no, I mean,
you will never these nuts me.
All right, challenge. Everybody heard it. Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted.
Okay.
But no, I mean, what do you? Would you take this person for an evil game?
No, man. They don't know. Okay, like they. Like, I genuinely feel like this character is trying, like, to be, like, skirt evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, kind of just super put evil on the absolute back burner, right? Like, it's just like, I'm like, you see, and I had a friend like this, too. So, in my 17 years doing this kind of thing, we had this one guy, I don't know if she name drop. It's not gonna matter. You ain't gonna watch this. Adam.
Okay.
Pretty normal, kind of like you're not going to find out who the hell that is from the name Adam. That guy would always, but it was like in the reverse. He'd always claim to be like lawful good, but then he'd always do it on like the most weird form of good, like technical lawful good, where it's just like, it's like super lawful, but then like he's taken the law to like, you know, the exact letter, and then anything that goes against the law is an evil action. And I'm like, like kind of like, is that really lawful good? Like, you're not really like looking at the perspective of like these people or anything. You're just like fun, just like a lawful neutral kind of character, but like more like a little lawful evil, because you're like using the law to like harm people's expectations and like use it against them and just generally make their lives more miserable. Whereas this is the reverse. He's coming in here and he's like, how best can I pretend to be lawful evil while actually doing lawful good actions? Which is kind of a quirky, fun character, if played correctly, right? But I don't think this person's going to be playing them correctly, or at least I can't get the cadence from this kind of stuff.
Right,
and that last action is absolutely just not evil.
But again, you know, if I didn't get 75 applications, I probably would have talked to this person, because what they were, showing me in these quick snippets was they knew what they were doing. They realized that they had a developed character. Like, again, based on what we've seen just in this stream, this is amazing. Like, this is detail. This is something I can work with. But because I got so many applications, the mere fact that I didn't get an evil vibe from this character meant I had to skip it over. Like, there just wasn't enough there to warrant an interview.
This person definitely has some stuff going on, though. Like, I feel it. Like, this could definitely play, though.
Right. Overall, it's a good app for the wrong game.
Just not this game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong game. Good app.
Yeah. So let's go to application number 2. Same sort of party, same game. And this is another question on the application, different applicant. Mr. Benno, how would you describe the ideal evil party?
Okay. I didn't read this yet. First, name's Dastardly. A truly evil person is not overtly evil and is not stupid. Heck, I can even be outright nice if it serves a greater purpose. What better way to advance the agenda than to have people embrace her? Oh, except for that wasn't even a remotely Skeletor thing. Oh man, I should read these before I make the voice.
I give it an 8 out of 10. I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
I like overly dumb, like stupidly evil like the Dick Dastardlies of the world in Wacky Races. That is a genuine character that is interesting and fun to watch, right? Yeah. Have you ever watched Wacky Races and not been entertained?
I'm old enough to remember.
Wacky Races is the shit.
Oh yeah. God, that's
about me. Exactly,
Bubble Lutter. Actually, yeah. So they didn't describe the party. They described themselves. And again, 75 applicants. I'm looking for ways that I have to weed down the number. This applicant was just not great because they were me, rather than actually answering the questions I put forward to them. Yeah. So, again,
which is like,
good applicant, wrong game.
100% dead ass. Like, you got this character that's super all about me, which can work very well in an evil game where they want to steal all the spotlight all the time. Now, that can, from a team perspective in a team game, get a little, annoying. But I feel like if you work together and they progress, their character progresses if they themselves as a person is someone who actually can share the spotlight, and the person's antics put other people in the spotlight more because they have to get this character out of a sticky situation, and that involves the characters in that way, like a cooperative instigator where the instigation is like more fun than the actual stuff that was going to be going on beforehand. Then absolutely wonderful character. Have a person on my team who is this to a T, like just someone who is like a mess. Where it's just like they just say the wrong things to the wrong people, sometimes by accident, sometimes on purpose, and it just causes a very fun new situation that you as a party have to get out of, and it's just more fun than it is hassle.
Well, I mean,
and that would be awesome, but this person, I don't know. Yeah, in this game, I don't think so.
Yeah, so I mean, to sort of piggyback on top of that, I'm okay with some chaos, and I'm definitely okay with players playing the enabler character or the push the party forward character. But I didn't get that vibe from this application. I just didn't. Like, again, we sort of had that problem where they're not getting the point of the game, which, that happens. It happens.
Yeah, it do happen. Sometimes you get lost in your own shit.
Now, this next one is one of the many edgelord ones I could pick, but I thought this one was good, and I'm glad Benno's going to read this one. So, Benno, your evil character notices a shrine to Bahamut as they're passing through a town. How do you react, if at all?
He snarls and begins to grip his fist while stating that he would leave before the town makes him sick.
Okay.
I grip the fist and I go, will you make me vomit out my mouth?
So, again, it's an evil party. I'm expecting some form of edge. This was just like,
this is adorable.
Yeah, like this
I would have
is...
interviewed this person instantly. Come on. This is hilarious.
Again, if it wasn't a
This is
75
so
applicant
cute.
game, I would have interviewed this person.
Right, 75. Okay. Shit, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, because I agree with you. Like, if this had been a smaller game, like a 10, 20 applicant game, I would have definitely interviewed this person, because I just want to know.
I just gotta know, yeah.
Yeah. But no, to answer Lone Squift's question, Chromatic Crusaders sort of happened. It happened at a time where one of the players that was in the game, I actually had to like full on pull, kick out, ban from the community. And it was one of those situations when we sort of kicked him and then we couldn't meet for like a month. So we just kind of, did the adult thing and said, all right, well, we tried, but this just isn't happening right now. So it did happen, but only for like a session or two. So no, you can't go back and watch it.
Did you still have the like overall ideas and the plot points and everything for it? You could try that one up again, I guess.
I could. My only concern, and this isn't meant to be an insult to anyone who actually plays D&D, my issue with 5th edition is that I feel like there's too much focus on trying to get 5e to do what 5e is not designed to do, if that makes any sense. Where 5e at its core is meant to be a dungeon delver or an encounters per day thing, but most people, again in my experience, that want to play D&D 5th ed, they want a critical role experience where it's almost all role play. It's almost all not soap opera, but it's drama, it's intrigue, it's politicking. 5th edition isn't designed for that. 5th edition is, at its core, again, meant to be all about fighting and, getting gold and magical items. It's not designed for the type of play most people want it to be. And as a GM, my issue is that I'm almost like forcing myself to try and pigeonhole what a role is into the small D&D skill set. And there's always that meme about, oh, it's a natural 20, I win. Or, oh, it's a natural 1, I cut my hand off. It's just one of those experiences where it just isn't fun for me as a GM, I think is what I'm trying to say here. Where 5th edition, I can run a one-shot. It just isn't for me these days. It just isn't.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Yeah. I found it to be a fairly fluid system where you could do all that critical role-y stuff if you wanted to.
Right. And again, with the right group, with your kind of group, Benno, probably would work amazing. But with new people that you're meeting on the internet for the first time, or
true,
yeah, for people you don't know very well out of character, you don't really know them in character, it just doesn't work. It really doesn't.
Oh, that's so fucking true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I keep forgetting that aspect of like you don't have like years of intimate knowledge of each other, and you're like, yeah, of course we're not going to do this thing because this person, doesn't like that kind of stuff, right? So we're going to stay away from that instinctively. Yep. Whereas I wouldn't know this person, have no idea what to play off of. What do they hate? What do they like? Holy shit! Oh my god, I'd have no clue. I'd be so lost in the dark. Does my entire performance irritate the person to the point of like, man, could you just shut up? All right? Can you just shut up? I'm trying to hear what the DM's saying, and you're like going off on these semi-tirades and giving my characters like this like side hustle, but like trying to make jokes at me. I mean, shut up, man. I don't like that. It's like, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to have fun.
It's like, calm down,
I didn't mean to have fun while we were trying to it's a game, and I was trying to like.
How dare you have fun? I am the only one meant to have fun.
Yeah. And it's just like, that would just kill it for me, man.
Mm-hmm.
That would kill it for me there. I'd be like, all right.
That's honestly, that's honestly why I do applications like this, because at the end of the day, I have to find people that I think not only that I can, work with and bounce off of as the game master, but I have to pick someone who I get the vibe or the feeling that they are a team player. Or that they're the type of person that isn't going to go on some random racist tirade on stream. I have to be very, very careful about who I bring onto a stream.
Is there a story behind that? That exact example right there that you just...
I'm trying to think if the VOD is available
happen?
anywhere before I say this.
No.
Yes. So there is no VOD. You will never find it. It's not even recorded on my hard drives anywhere. No record of this session exists. But,
Holy shit.
it was one of the first games I streamed. One of the first tabletop games I ever streamed. It was for a... Was it 4th or 5th? I think it was 4th edition at the time. Yeah, it was 4th edition. And I didn't do the applications. I literally just sort of took whoever said that they could make the time and, said that they were interested. So I kind of, just took whoever. And we get into the first session. And again, I'm a new GM at the time. I don't have any, skill in doing this. So I do the very, very, very overdone and standard trope of you meet in a bar or you meet in a tavern, whatever.
Always fun, always classic, even to this day, 17 years in. I don't think there's anything warmer or funner than just sitting around a fucking bunch of tankards and like having your gamers just sit down and start talking all these like tall tales bullshit. Just be like, oh yeah, well I slayed 6 dragons with a sword in my ass. Right?
Shut up and drink your donkey piss.
Yeah, drink your donkey piss.
There's a callback. But no, so like, we get the player characters at the table, and we're going through, and people are introducing themselves. And one person, I forget their name at the time. I think let's call her Jill. Jill was playing a drow, and was kind of going for that whole
spicy.
that sort of redeemed drow, not quite Dritsit, but similar to Dritsit. So, she starts talking about, how, drow have the dark skin and the white hair, yada, yada, yada. And this wasn't a webcam game, but this other player in question begins making very discontented noises, like humping and humming, and generally making it sound like either they're constipated or that they're not having a good time.
Yeah.
So... I was going to have someone else go before that person, but again, since he's making all this noise, I'm like, all right, maybe I need to have him introduce himself next.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, can you introduce yourself? Let's call this guy Bobby. So I'm like, Bobby, introduce yourself, introduce your character. And I cannot repeat what he said. I would like to keep my channel. But if you can imagine the most racist tirade you can ever have against not just drow, but anyone of color, and
oh my god,
it was bad. Like, I legitimately had to stop the stream immediately, pull the VOD, pray that I wasn't going to get banned. It was bad.
Holy shit.
But it was one of those things where the worst part was he tried to justify it as, oh, that's what my character would do because he's, racist against all drow. And it was just like, no, that's not how any of this works. No, you don't get to live your racist fantasies. No, get out, kind of a thing. And it was just like,
Jesus.
It was a thing.
Ew.
But yeah, honestly, it could have tanked my channel before it even took off if I didn't delete it that quickly. It was bad. It was bad. Yeah, let's move on to more fun things now that I've ruined the mood. Let's move on to more fun
fucking
things.
Crazy.
It really is.
Just instantly, you get like, all right, okay, and you, Mikhail? Ah, excellent. Wow, water elf. Ooh, like an ice elf, but with water. Ooh, and we've got a drow. Uh-oh, tension, maybe. Uh-oh, maybe a little tension. How about you, Ronald Racist? Oh my God. Oh God. Oh, and the stream. Oh no.
It was bad. It was bad.
Oh, that's weird. Why does it say racist in your name? Oh, yeah. I understand now.
Yeah. So.
All right, yeah, you got it. What were we doing? All right, we snarling and making the fists. So this one, cute, would have wanted to see him, but unfortunately, 75 people to go through. Didn't have the time. Had to go and check. Only the best of the best made it.
Mm-hmm.
The best of the best of the best, sir.
Yep. So the next applications, the next 4 are all from Warhammer 40k things I've tried to run.
Warhammer.
This next
Hammer
app,
of
I think,
war.
is actually what
Hammer of
prompted
war.
us to even do this stream, Beto. I think this,
is
this
it?
is literally the applicant where I was like, hey, look at this guy.
All right, now I'm Warhammer L, and I'm like, before the Omnisire, what type of character are you wishing to play in this campaign? You need not create an entire backstory at this stage. 1. As stated in the opening, most archetypes in an abundance of apocrypha are valid for play. 0-1. Please limit yourself to no more than 0-10 paragraphs. End of line.
Well done of doing the binary. Very nice. I give you 900 points. I don't know what you're going to use those points on, but you have 900 points. So, and this applicant's going to take, it's going to sound normal, and we'll have to explain why, but, you know, the applicant says, I'll use the advanced character creation form, so rather than an archetype, I'll say what kind of characters I'm looking to play. The first pick would be a veteran sniper / infiltrator that can act as the eyes and ears of the team, as well as deal with some tech problems. The second option would be a psyker.
Yeah. And I was okay with that statement, but you had already found fault with it. So then we went on to next. It's like, is there anything about you or your application I should know? ? For instance, pronouns. Your favorite Space Marine chapter. God, if it's the Ultramarines, you are instantaneously banned from this chapter. You're banned. Whether or not you have executed a number of heretics this year, this one had so much fun in it. Yo, have you played with me before? Are you VTube? Let me know. Hit me up.
And this is where the more obvious problem with this app is. So the applicant says, well, with 40k being a grim, dark setting, I tend to play my characters as them being more serious rather than lighthearted, as I feel it fits the setting better. So full stop. 40k, it's grimdark. It's shitty. People are shitty. The Imperium, fucking horrible. They're a fascist regime. They're terrible.
Yeah.
But we play 40k not to glorify those things. We play it because it's silly. We play it because it's a pastiche. It's a tongue-in-cheek nod at darkness. And it's the same reason, people play Vampire. We want to play darker characters in a darker universe, yada, yada, yada. But the combination of this person wanting to be the sniper / infiltrator and wanting to be, quote unquote, more serious, that's the red flag here for me. And the reason is, in my experience, the type of person that wants to be this infiltrator, their assassin, whatever, they're going to be away from the party 9 times out of 10. They're not going to be in the same group. They're going to be in some tree and fuck offistan and more or less just rolling dice to learn information, which they don't even tend to communicate in character. They just come back and say, yeah, what the GM said. So, again, my experience with this type of person is, if I accept them, they're going to just not be around. They're not going to be really role-playing, or if they are role-playing, they're going to be like, I'm Titus McSerious, and I believe that we should execute that heretic over there because I don't like his haircut. What do you mean? The Codex Astartes doesn't support this action? Well, fuck the Codex Astartes. I am an Ultramarine, and I don't like that haircut. That's what it says.
Titus McFucking Grimdark.
Like,
wow, I don't know if is lower guttural gothic. Wow, that's crazy. Your guttural gothic is so good. Wow.
Yeah, but see, that's the sort of applicant I would have taken, where it was the Titus McGrimdark. I would have taken it because that's just fucking hilarious. Like, I would have taken him. Again, this person, I got the vibe of, if I let them in, I can't make jokes, I can't make puns, I have to be super serious because if I'm not serious, they're just going to drop out of the group, and that sort of thing. So it's like,
yeah, I noticed that there was a lot of laughter going on. And that's really weird because 40k isn't really about laughing.
Mm-hmm. Honestly,
like,
I've had a lot of people tell me that, to which I say, fuck them.
What?
Yeah, I say, fuck those types of people. You
the
don't get 40k.
whole setting is a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna look. There was a long time ago when I was a kid, I really hated 40K because I'm like, this is the dumbest setting I've ever seen. Well, you can't have orcs that are made of mushrooms and then they come back and all they want to do is fight and they say stupid words like wah, and next to these giant armored death machine people that treat all their people like super kill. This is stupid. This is the stupidest setting in the world. They have Amazons too. They have the little space dwarves. What is this? This is garbage. I hate this. Right? I'm like, oh, their elves are lame and their webways, nothing works. Chaos is dumb. This is dumb. It's all dumb, right? And then I don't know what happened, but everything just kind of clicked. It just kind of like made sense to me. I'm like, oh, the whole setting's a joke. Oh, it's taken the piss out of people who get so serious about this kind of thing that they can't have fun with it. And like, I'm like, the space orcs are literally like the driving factor of like they're literally like, hey, for anyone who didn't get it, let me just get a big green toothy smile at you and be like, we's a war. Right? And it's just like, oh, I get it now. I get it. You're just having a laugh. Genius. And after that point, I loved the whole setting, and I loved how goofy and stupid it was. And it's just like, it's just perfect. It's just wonderful, and it's just so fun that you juxtapose all this mega serious Dumbo Wumbo nonsense with the Space Marines, and they're like 5 billion kill count. And their literal like glorification of overkilling their own people, because no one kills the Imperium as hard as the Imperium. No one.
They're really good at it.
They're so good at killing their own people. It's fucking
Actually,
crazy.
now that I think about it, I think legitimately they factor the corpse rations, which are literally rations made from corpses. I think they are able to make the quota to feed the population because they kill so many people, if I remember correctly.
Yes, 100% correct.
Like, it's... So, yeah, I mean, Lone Squiff, what I would say to that is, it is serious to a degree, but it's not so serious like this applicant is implying, because if you're serious all the time, then what's the point? You know, you're literally just being a horrible person. But if you're laughing as you're having, you know, silliness and grim darkness happening, it's a more compelling setting. It's a more compelling game. It's not, oh, super serious, you know, we have to constantly be feeling oppressed or, you know, something like that. But it's just, yeah, that's where we are with this applicant. Now, this next applicant is same application, just different set of questions. So, Mr. Applicant, what if any tabletop role-playing systems have you played or run?
You know, Black Crusade, Death Watch, Dunder 5
Okay. And what sort of characters do you like playing in tabletop role-playing games?
DPS. I'm the damage dealer.
Okay. Anything I should know about you or your application, like hard cutoff times, pronouns, or adverse to a part of the lore?
I run a Death Watch campaign around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so if we could not be around then, that'd be great.
Okay. So, I don't know, Benno. Why do you think I denied this one? So this one, two things, and one's not obvious, but the campaign at 6 p.m., this game... Oh, hey, Shizno, thank you. This game was set to be at 8 p.m. Eastern, which meant that if, as they said, they were running a game at 6 p.m. Eastern, they'd either only be playing for 2 hours or they would be consistently late to sessions. So it was like, okay. The other thing that immediately jumped out at me, and it might just be because I have not so much a hatred, but so much an aversion to this type, but when someone says I play DPS for a tabletop role-playing game, that's like going up to an ice cream stand and asking for a taco. Like, yeah, I mean, it's food. Ice cream and tacos are both food, but that's not the point. This is an ice cream stand. I can't give you a quesadilla or whatever the fuck you want, because tabletop role-playing games are meant for role-playing.
DPS.
And
They're all
for,
DPS. Everything's a DPS.
Yeah, it's like,
there's no problem. I think here's one of the things. And you know what? You know what makes me upset?
Mm-hmm.
Why is there no proper tanking mechanics in D&D? Why don't I have a taunt?
You
Why
did in
don't I
4th
have
edition.
A taunt, L?
4th edition had them.
I know they did, L, but that's because 4th edition was an MMO. 4th edition was the MMO World of Warcraft button clicks made into a physical format.
I'm actually going to pivot here. I wouldn't say it's World of Warcraft. I'd say it's more Divinity. Because it's more of a CRPG than an MMORPG.
Here's the problem. Divinity didn't exist at the time.
Right.
But me and the boys had played World of Warcraft a ton before this. Mm-hmm. Now, we did give 4th edition a chance. Mm-hmm. But we ended up going off on a huge rant in it. We never ended up playing it again at the end of one of the games. Now, everything was going okay. Everything was fine. But I had a massive problem with the healing system.
Oh, yeah.
Why, if I physically have in-game a healing potion, a physical one that I bought with money, do I not get to drink it and get my HP back if I've used up all of my healing surges?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a lot of problems like that in 4th edition, but I guess really this is all driving that even in 4th edition games, you don't say that you're a DPS. Like, again, you know, when I ask what sort of characters do you like playing in tabletop role-playing games, I'm looking for like
you're looking for like a class or like a character, or like, you know, a type of character or whatnot.
Yeah, like an archetype. Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to be a paladin, or, you know, I like rangers, or, you know, I like to play a leader type character that really goes around and, you know, brings the party together and keeps them safe and lets them know what to do, maybe if they don't know what they're doing in combat.
Yep.
All sorts of that stuff. How weird okay, this would have been explanatory, but like only because I think 4th edition, but like if instead of DPS he was like controller.
Well, even then, if he had said controller, same issue here, because, and what's really going to sort of bring this home is, well, let me ask this. Are you familiar with Deathwatch as a system? Do you know what Deathwatch is about?
I am not. I played the one before it, what's the one before it? What's the smaller one where you play as the just regular guards?
Probably Dark Heresy is probably what you play.
Dark Heresy, thank you.
Yeah.
I've played Dark Heresy, and holy fuck, is that a nightmare. My God, that is so geared towards failure. It's crazy.
Yeah. So Deathwatch is the old way to play a Astartes, a Space Marine. And it is quite literally just a war game with tabletop role-playing rules, if you follow. Where it's not about role-playing because you're Space Marines. You don't role-play. Yeah. You just show up, kill the big bad Xenos, and walk away.
What? That'd be so fun. Can you imagine the weirdo, like the absolute, like psychotic weirdo chatter you must have as a fucking Space Marine back to another Space Marine in your insane, like completely religious mind controlled world that you live in?
Right.
Did you ever play Space Marine, the video game?
I did, yes.
PC?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Their chatter between each other is some of the most weird but interesting conversations. It always feels like everyone's on edge, like you're just about to say like the wrong thing to the wrong guy. Like that fucking bookie snot-nosed, always helmet wearing motherfucking, and this is why I hate the Ultramarines, dude. Those fucking little shitty by the books thumb sucking bitches, dude. Let the guy
really feel.
Be cool, all right? Let him express he's like, I like to interpret the Codex Astartes my own way. And it's like, let the man have his freedom of his belief, dude. Come on.
So, I agree with that. Like, I enjoyed Space Marine, the video game. I enjoyed that thing. To qualify why Deathwatch doesn't work is because Deathwatch is generally not one that role players go for. It's one that role players, ROLL players, go for. Because they are unable to get a table game with their actual miniatures. So that's sort of what brought this home for me when he said, oh, he wants to play a DPS. All right, kind of weird. But then he's running a Deathwatch campaign, and it clicked for me. And it's like, this guy isn't coming to the game to roleplay. He's coming to the game just to fight and not do anything else. Like, that's what I got out of this application.
Wow. That does make sense. From the very, very little that he gave here. Also, this is very little. Like, this doesn't give me a lot to tell me of who or what you are as a person. Curt and short responses do not work well with me as a human being.
Yeah. So again,
do not work. I can't, like, if I were to do something like this in terms of asking for applications, the shorter the answer, that is usually worse.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, what do I have to go off of, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's another point of advice. If you're still watching this, don't do this. Don't do any of the shorter app things. Like, almost push the limit of what you think is appropriate. Like, if they say, give me a paragraph, 4 to 6 sentences, easy. Even if you're just making shit up, 4 to 6 sentences, because that gives us something to go off of. That gives us a reason. Now, what you don't want to do, corollary to that, don't put like an entire essay in there. Because if I see an essay, I'm not reading it. I'll tell you straight up. If I see like legitimate like 3 paragraphs, I'm like, they didn't read the instructions, so why should I bother? And yeah, no. So ours, it's one of those things where rambling is okay to a point, but again, if like I'm looking at the application and I feel like I'm about to learn about Fuckoffistan's chief import in the year 20 whatever, like, no, I want to hear about your character. And if you're rambling, that's okay. Just don't ramble for 6 years, I guess is where I'm going with that. So
yeah.
All right, well, next 40K application. I believe this was the same one. So I think this is mine, if I believe so.
All right, you got it. We're still in Warhammer 40K. All right, let me think here. I guess I'll just do just like a regular yourself. Oh, all right. What sort of characters do you like to play in TTRPGs?
It's funny you ask that because I only play interesting ones with flaws and redeeming qualities.
Wow. This one's more of a miscellaneous question. Is there anything I should know about you or your application? Just go ahead, just full stop. You can say anything, whatever you like.
Well, I mean, if we're being honest here, I'm not a huge fan of the Fall Acadia era lore. Not for me. Now, not only is this applicant giving us this applicant again not giving us anything, but the fact that they singled out Fall of Acadia, which, it would take 6 hours to explain. But long story short, Cadia blows up, Galaxy gets taken over by a warp storm, yada, yada, yada. It's the current edition, current point in the setting where Warhammer's at.
Wow.
So for him to go, I'm not a huge fan of the lore, is basically like, I'm trying to think of an example. It's like saying that you want to play in a Lord of the Rings game, but you saying, well, I didn't care for any of the books past
and
Hobbits.
Gandalf and any of that ring stuff, that's all super cringe. Can we stay away from that?
Exactly, yeah. So that immediately told me that this person didn't understand what they were applying for. And, I mean, let's just go back to the first question. Like, who says this? Who says this?
The first question for it there is literally so weirdly like it's just like, well, yes, I think everyone would want to play a character who is interesting, has flaws, as well as redeeming qualities. Or perhaps it maybe is full of flaws to begin with, but redeems themselves through the play of the game.
Right.
And and
even
turn
if
some
they
of
had
those
said
flaws
that,
into positive aspects.
like, even just typing all that out would have been better than this one sentence.
No, it seems weird. It seems like this kind of like off the cuff, like, I like playing characters that are good and not bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I like playing a character that'd be good, but I would never play a character that would be bad or boring and that you would hate. Only the ones that you would like.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that, El? I would play a character that you would enjoy. Hmm? How about that?
My response to that would be, well, I actually rather like it when characters are flawed and that sometimes they don't have redeeming qualities. Like, you can still be a flawed person, you can still be a broken person and do terrible things or, be the dissenting voice in a party, but it's about playing something that brings something new to the story that the other players aren't. And if you're playing a trope and everybody else is playing the trope, what's the point? Or at least that's where I would go with that. Yeah.
Sure, but then that Michael Edgelord becomes a bit too much of a problem, and you just have nobody who likes what they're doing or what's going on with it there.
Right.
But at the same time, I understand where you're going. I understand where you're going with the notation of what you're stating.
Yeah.
Yes, interesting, weird characters can be fun, as long as externally you are not a problem or a hindrance to the group in terms of what you guys find fun together.
Exactly. And honestly, that is why
you can be a super weirdo in game. That's no problem. As long as like out of game, everyone's having a great time and enjoys your super weirdo and is like having fun doing like weird RP of like, why are you alive? Why do you do the things that you like? Just like that whole interaction of just like, what do you choose to be who?
I mean, like the stereotypical bard that, seduces everything. It's like, why are you doing this? Because it's a bit, people love bits. I guess, to summarize what we're both saying here, because we're just saying the same thing in different ways. Talk to your players, like have session zeros, get to know the other people in your group before you actually start role playing, and don't be a snowflake. Don't be an edgelord. Little bit of snowflake, little bit of edgelord, fine, but full on, yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. No. But yeah.
Was this the last one?
I think there's one more. Let me look. Let's see. Yes, there is one more. All right. So this is an Eldar game, which if you don't know,
you're an Eldar game?
I did once, yeah. So, this is for an Eldar game, and I'm like, all right, so Mr. Applicant, tell me a little bit about your Eldari. And, if you've got a simple elevator pitch, that works.
Okay, here goes. I'm planning a real swashbuckling pirate type. I plan to use knives and interaction attacks exclusively. Imagine less evil Sliskin from the Lucas the Trickster book. Who? Do you know who that is?
No. Still don't know to this day who the hell that is.
All right. To this day. Mm-hmm. Who is Lucas the Trickster?
Couldn't tell you.
All right.
Okay, yeah. We're going to skip the second question because I probably should have cropped it out because, again, it doesn't matter if you've played with me or not before. If you're good, I'll give you a shot. So, Mr. Applicant, is there anything I should know about you or your application? Any requirements, pronouns, blah, 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 blah?
I've been GMing since launch and have lots of experience with the system as well as Blip's homebrew.
So, why do you think I denied this application?
They know a fuck ton, and I feel like they're just gonna sit there and correct you constantly.
Oh, actually, chat just ironically told us who Lucas the Trickster was. Apparently, he's a space wolf. Okay.
Wait, really? Oh,
yeah.
Lucas
looks like he's a
also
started to the Space Wolf chapter of Space Marine Array, raucous and ebullient figure who defies the authority of his superiors just as willingly as he defies the enemies of the chapter. So yes, ironically, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, this person is calling upon the old
the
lore.
elder lore.
The elder lore, yeah. Which, isn't a problem. But also notice that he didn't really talk about the personality of the person. Because again, he didn't come out and say, "Oh, I play DPS," but he specifically says, "I'm going to use knives and interaction attacks." Like, that's not a character. That's not that.
Well,
that's
he
a
said what he wanted to
mechanism.
do before that, which was a swashbuckler.
Right.
Like a roguish pirate. Ho ho hee hee. Yo ho, batter me yos and yos me hoes.
Mm.
And put some yo on some ho with me knifers. I've come to take me pound of flesh and your gold.
Yeah. So.
And I'm also not as evil as Lucas the Trickster.
Oh Lord, you learn something new every day. Love it. But no, so
Was Lucas the Trickster evil? Chat, do you guys know if he was evil?
I don't think he's. I mean, if he's still, yeah, according to what Orfish is putting in, I think we're good. I think he's one of those weird characters, but I think he's an okay Space Wolf. He's not like branded a heretic or anything. Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah. So again, this person calling out old lore and is telling you, been GMing since launch, etc., etc. The system I was running this in was Rogue Trader. And Rogue Trader is old. Not like super, I guess I should paraphrase. It's not super old, but it's what came after Dark Heresy 1 and before Death Watch. So what is that? That's 2004, 5? It's over 10 years old is what I'm trying to get at here.
Oh, wow.
Which is okay. Hey, if you've been playing since launch, that means you have fun with the system. But
I found the system to be, like, not great.
Yeah, it's honestly...
That's the one where I had my most losses in that one. I think... So we've played it once. We played it exactly one time. And everyone had their characters. It was we worked really hard together to be like, okay, everyone's going to have a role. You're going to do this. We're going to do that. So-and-so's going to be this. And I think I ended up being like a mechanic who was like a really good driver of stuff. And I was like,
you might have played Only War. Like, this is giving me Only War vibes.
No, no, because it was Rogue Trader for sure. Because we had a captain, and they were the captain of the ship, and we had like they had like an orc companion, and then we had like what were they, like an astropath who drove the ship and could commune with like the warp and stuff to go and see visions across places and whatnot. And we had we had like a spy lady. It was like a really diverse cast that was like very fun, and it was taking place in like. We were going to go out into space and do cool space adventures.
Right.
We never made it out of the harbor, of the space harbor. The space harbor? Is that the right terminology? The station? Never made it out of the station.
Yeah.
Yeah. Harbor sounds like doesn't that sound cool for like
It does. It sounds much better than station.
Okay. The one thing that I was super good at was driving. I put every available point that I could get to get driving as high as possible. And I crit failed multiple times on driving.
And it's honestly one of those things where, I mean, anybody who watches my Star Trek Adventures games, crit failures and complications can be fun once or twice. Like, because it adds flavor to the story. But But when it keeps happening, when you're literally just rolling failure, critical failure, complication after complication, you just, as a player, you just shut down. Like I shut down whenever that happens to me.
You just give up. You're like, nah, I'm useless. I don't even want to try anymore. I don't. And you feel awful about yourself. You're like, you can now crit failures. You're right. Can be fun. You can spin them in a very fun and very good way. You can have them be super expressive. Both you and the GM can spin it into a very fun forwarding of the story. And events can take place from it. It can be really awesome. But at the same time, it can also just be hog water. Just no negative progression. Yep. And that can just get so rough. And it's just like,
everyone. It wasn't even just me. It was everyone was failing. We had fucked up our diplomatic intro that was on friendly terms. We had made it into like nearly hostile terms by the end of the interaction. We had done nothing but fuck up. I'm talking, this station was like ready to go onto like fucking like DEFCON 1 because it was just, we had just fucked up so bad. So many basic mundane things that the game is forcing us to roll, like a fucking drive check or just talking to someone and like, yep, your smoke blows into their ventilators and they can't breathe because they're a, you know, fucking an not an astrologian. What are they called? The Mechanicus gamers. Who are those guys?
No, they're part of the Adeptus Mechanicus, yeah.
Adeptus Mechanicus. They're like Adeptus Mechanicus, and they got ventilators for fucking lungs or whatever, right? It's like, you choke them out with your cigar smoke, and they're done. And that was like your big content. Who loved you guys on this station? It's like, oh my god. And you failed to sneak, so everyone you were trying to get info on. Like, this is not just me. I'm saying every failure that we had accrued in this one scene, the opening scene that was supposed to be jovial and fun and get us together and just have us be ready to go on our sick adventure where everyone loved us and everything. Nothing was bad yet. Nothing was bad. We made it bad with our roles. We made the station hate us.
I think... I mean, I hear what you're saying.
Forklift into the food repository and destroyed all the food. Like, it's just leaking everywhere, all over the station.
I mean, to me, I think that is a funny and interesting way to start a season or start a game where it's like, oh, we're fuck-ups, guys, buckle in. But from the sounds of it, you guys weren't expecting to be the fuck-up. So it's sort of setting expectations where if you go in and you're like, yeah, guys, we're fuck-ups, we're going to fail, we're going to ruin everything.
If I knew this situation, if I knew like the system was so fuck-up heavy, I would have played a different character. I would have like, if then here's the thing, it was our first time playing. If I had known that it was so dependent on, like, get ready to literally like never see a success, like a basic success in your life, I would have definitely just done a different thing. We would have had a different adventure. We would have been like the fucking goofsters or whatever, the goof squad, ready to hey GM, is it okay if each of us has like 10 lives and we just have like a clone come in every time we die?
Paranoia. We're gonna play Paranoia.
Yeah, I know.
That's what we'll play.
But like, I didn't know I was going to be surprised playing Paranoia. I thought I was going to be playing the grim Goof Troop 40K. I thought we were going to be playing like fucking like, you know, like, here's your boys going out to space. Swashbuckling adventure, ho. There goes Hank. He's the driver. He drives really good. There goes Vincenzo, they're the pilot. They pilot really good. Yeah, there goes Billy. He's got guns. So many guns. 50 guns. You know, it's just like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. Yeah, we're going to go out there. We're going to fucking show the world what up. We're the best. Nah.
No.
Can't leave the station. Too inept. Probably accidentally activated the fucking magnetrocitus rails that like pulled our ship even further into a station, cracked the fucking main reactor and just blew up the space station. Just fucking kill it. Just kill it. Why not?
Blow it up and nuke it from orbit. Exterminate us and let's start over.
Fuck it. Doesn't matter. These guys didn't happen. None of this happened. Blow it up. From the next station over in the Andromeda system, you see a massive explosion as your characters look on, being like, wonder what the hell happened over there.
Yeah, I wonder what that's about. Oh, I love it. So before we go into the Q&A section, the one last thing I want to say about this application is, if you're an old player, you're an old GM, you're a forever GM, whatever, it's nice to say that your experience with the system and that you know some of the elder lore, as we've coined it. Don't assume the person reading your application is going to know all the lore references. don't assume that by showing your quote-unquote I've been here for this long badge, don't assume that's going to get you into a game. Because what you don't see about this application is the blurred out parts are things of accomplishments that they've made as GMs. And I had to blur out, huge portion there because this was sort of like the vampire game, that vampire app where, the Nosferatu was the prettiest one and they'd been to all those LARPs. Same thing here, only they named those things by name as if they were badges of honor. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's okay to be experienced. It's okay to be a forever GM. Be humble about it. Don't be an ass about it. But that's all the applications. But let me just swap us back over to the big screen here. I thought it would be cool to take maybe about questions for about 15-20 minutes, and then I have to down up the stream because at 9 p.m. we'll be doing the new Star Trek Wolf 4A game, which should be exciting. You should stick around for that.
Bark, 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 bark.
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, while we've got Benno here, does anybody have any questions for myself, for Benno? Doesn't necessarily have to be related to the topic we just discussed, but open forum for chat here as I finally hydrate that I need to do.
Hell yeah.
Cause yeah, it's let's see. How about checking out a bit of the most annoying dungeon? I don't think I can do it on stream.
Most annoying dungeon?
Yeah, it's the one Bubble Lover mentioned earlier. Yes, they did PM me. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I can't show it on stream because, there's no way that video isn't monetized. So I can't show it on stream because then I would get demonetized. But it is on my list of things to watch.
You heard of React Andy?
No, I am not a React Andy. No.
Why?
I don't hate React Andy. I just think it's kind of a low bar where it's like, oh, you're
I don't care.
giving me
Content's
videos
content.
to watch and react to. I don't know. It's just not my thing.
I'm thinking about doing it.
I can't
You
do
just
it.
got to do what works, because if you can, here's the thing. If the content is more fun, because I'm sitting there and Asmongold literally adds that sometimes goes off so hard on these tangents that are like super interesting and provides usually more content than the original video itself and has something fun and interesting to say for it. Yeah, absolutely. That is peak React Andy content. And I'd say I didn't used to like it, right? But when I saw him do it, I'm like, this is wonderful. This is so good. Like, this fresh perspective, this fun and interesting things that he's fucking talking about, this makes me more excited about the original stuff.
I can see that,
And that aspect, and not only that, but like, if I've already seen a video, I still would then go and rewatch it just because I'm interested to see what Asmon would think about it. And I wanted to see how he would like it. Anytime he's watching any of Internet Historians' videos, fuck, man. It's so fun. Because I've seen those videos like, I don't know, 8-10 times. I've loved them. They're so good. The fall of Fallout 76, the one in Goodening of what's that space game? No Man's Sky. All of that stuff is wonderful. It's amazing peak content, and then just seeing him able to enjoy it, throw in his quips, throw in his information for it there. You see him like do that weird thing where he just predicts what he's going to be like the next thing is, because they usually ask, like, they pose a question to chat and he just says usually what that thing is going to be, or is completely wrong and looks like an idiot.
Right.
All of that is fun. All of it is just absolutely fantastic.
Tell you what, Benno, we'll answer one question here. You run me D&D, and I'll do a React Andy stream. How about that?
All right. I could run you in 5e.
Right. There you go. There's our one answer for chat. But yeah, let's go for a few of these real quick. Lone Squiff asks, has anyone answering no to the played with ELH before kept someone out of the game because of how they were in said game? I think you might have answered yes. I think that makes more sense in my head. So yes, actually, I have had people that... I don't know if I want to name names here because the drama is still there. I've had people in the past who applied to basically everything that I did, but they were already in like 2-3 games. If I didn't think that taking them would keep someone out of the game, actually, let me start that sentence over.
Okay.
The problem was most of these games, I was trying to bring in new people. I was trying to bring in new flavor, new people to the community, give people experience. And it's not you, Lone Squiff, before you ask, but I once had someone who literally applied to everything that I posted. Literally everything. And I had to say no to them so much because not only was, again, they're already in 2 of my games. I can't have them in another. But I guess the easy way I can say this is they kind of had a chip on their shoulder like, oh, you want to have me because I bring the content. So yes, the long answer is yes, I have had people in the past say yes, they played with me before, and I have not taken them. So that has happened. In your case, Lone Squiff, you're in the Showa game. When the Showa game's run and I get a better feel for you as a player, I'll probably say yes to more things. But until I get that feel, I think we're good.
You just doxed who's in what game?
People know he's in that game. He's playing the Commodore, which actually, answer your question, Lone Squiff, yes, you can play a Commodore. Yes, there's your answer. You can play a Commodore. I'm okay with that.
Sure.
Let's see what we got. Genesis 2001 asks, is there any application that was too detailed? Yes. And it was for that D&D game, that, evil party game. To say that they gave me 7 paragraphs is an understatement. Probably was actually closer to 10 at the end of the day. Like, I knew about their Dragonborn's second cousin. I knew about their Dragonborn's preference for how they prepared their toast. I knew how they worship Tiamat every minute of the day. And, maybe some people are into that. Some people want to have that much detail thrown on at once. I looked at that and I was just deer in headlights like, okay, how do other players fit into that? And it was just like, again.
Can you imagine if they just also were that like weird petty person that would get mad at you and being like, my character takes the eggs the same way they do every morning, their favorite way. You know what that is though, right, Al? And you're like, no, why the hell would I know how your character takes their eggs? Yeah, scrambled, right? And then like,
you didn't read my backstory. You know what? Fuck you. I'm out of this game. You don't put fiction into your game. You're full of shit.
Like, you didn't read my application, did you? You didn't read it. I said.
I mean, we make that joke, but it does happen. There are people like that. There are legitimately people like that. Yeah.
You make me sick, Varthathulius.
It's my new title, Elmophimovius, yes.
How dare you? How dare you not know it was poached? I'm sickened, in real life, for more than one round.
I actually might
I
want
need
to play.
to go.
I don't know that.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to record this session tonight.
Oh, I've had people like that before. That's why it's funny to me.
No, you gotta be, come on! That's not a real person. I made that up. That's a joke. That's not a real person.
They're real. That's why it's funny to me. They're real.
Me in the ass. Come on, El. You gotta be kidding me, man.
Nope, not kidding.
It was I faked them.
No,
that's not real.
Okay, it wasn't the polymorph. It wasn't the poly couples. It was another college game that I ran a different night. But I had, and I have to condense this because we only have so much time.
Yeah. You gotta.
The guy I was playing with was a DJ for one of the university's radio shows. And he would legitimately, like, get into it. Like, he was the type of person that you'd call in and be like, hey, I feel about so-and-so, some random topic. And he would get into it with them on, on radio. Like, there were times where I'm like, you're going to get smacked. There's no way they're going to let you broadcast that and get away with it. But what happened was he'd come to my game, he would say something like that, and I would disagree with him. And he would do what you just did, where he would start fuming. He would start grumbling. He'd start not throwing things around, but he'd kind of like start like, you know, like humping and not like not hardly, but very firmly putting his hands on the table, or, you know, not slamming the fridge, but very forcefully closing it. You know, you could tell he was pissed off because you had made fun of him. It was a guy.
I have a dark secret to tell you.
Oh dear, what dark secret do we have?
It was me, L.
Oh shit! All right, stream's over, everybody.
That radio on. But at the same time, I also did have a little fucking Debbie Stinker phase, where I would make a huff if I didn't get my way. Honestly, I think I've been almost every bad trope that you can be there, and I still turned out okay. But only because the people around me were fucking excellent, and I had again found my golden goose really early on, who were just so much more willing to play the game over most other things, that they again were willing to even put up with my childish antics. And I guess in the end we were all children, and stupid, and had our own hang-ups. But a lot of stuff that is with that, like I genuinely think if I didn't have my group, I could have been that guy.
Right.
Easy. Super easy could have been that guy. 100%.
Like I said, you found the holy grail with that group. Hold on to them tightly.
Yeah. I was a whiner. I love to min-max. I sometimes ask for like, what was the thing? Snowflakey content. Just like all bad things, every bad thing, all of it. I got upset when I got hit, like for basic damage.
I've had people like that too. Yeah.
How they hit me? My AC's so high, I don't understand how they hit me.
Oh, I took 5 damage. I'm fucking dead, guys. I took 5 damage.
It's over. I might as well just. Why am I even playing this game, dude? I might as well just fucking end it all right here.
Yeah, I've been that person. No, I've been that person once or twice.
I think everyone goes through a little bit of a phase where it's their little penis boy, and it's just
it's more that they're not divorcing themselves from the character, so that when the character gets damaged, they feel they themselves are getting damaged, which
exactly
is a whole thing.
That was such a hard lesson to learn. And I'm like, why do they keep me? And I'm like, oh, my good traits outweighed the bad. I was always willing to role play. I always brought super fun energy when I was around. It like most of the time I'm not being a little penis, and just like all that good stuff. But if you just have all the bad traits with none of any redeeming good traits as a human being, as a person, then I see what happens. Because like, I want you to imagine if I wasn't like a fun, bubbly, outgoing, friendly person who is willing to talk to you and like was super engaged in your ideas. Like Elle, you've told me about a ton of your little plans and everything for it there. Like, remember when you were talking about like the game you wanted to run for the Warhammer one, right?
Warhammer one, yep.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, no, let's go for it. That sounds fun. That sounds great, right? I want you to go and succeed. I want you to go and have the idea that you've pitched out there. And I think it's a worthwhile idea that should be experienced and that people would have fun experiencing.
Right.
Now, you did not get that reaction from a ton of other people when you proposed it.
Yeah, I got the exact opposite of people telling me that that's a stupid idea. I shouldn't do it. I should be kicked out of the community for even suggesting it. Yeah, so I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying, where I actually kind of want to see what evil or alternate universe Benno's like. I mean, does he have short hair and a green tie and a... I don't know.
That guy doesn't have a character. That guy's dead in a ditch.
Oh, maybe. Who knows?
That guy probably... Yeah, I mean, with the... Yeah, nah, he definitely probably just, KO'd himself.
Dead in a ditch.
Dead in a ditch. No.
All right, let's go through other things.
Or he's very rich and very evil and has no morals.
Holy shit.
Lord Exile asks, what is your least favorite type of dungeon? A dungeon that goes on too fucking long. Give me 4 rooms, a puzzle, an end boss, get me out. In, out, done. Don't give me a goddamn mega dungeon. What about you, Benno? Any preference?
As someone who has been proposed with, accidentally got my group hype for, and then played in the Mega Dungeon, the world's largest dungeon, that game was very quickly over. We had one session, and it was like yeah, you know what, I'm realizing that maybe this ain't a good idea. So having experienced what you experienced, but then it was a pre-made dungeon that made no sense. People don't know what the fuck squeeze mechanics are, I guess, but you ever just like everything was pre-placed. Like I want you to imagine like a 10-foot by 10-foot room, and there's one exit, and it's like a 5-foot like crawl space to enter the room, and in the room is 2 huge size salamanders. Like fire salamanders, like the 3.5 edition creatures.
Right.
They're squeezing.
Yeah, like they're already squeezing, and then you got to squeeze in on top. That doesn't work.
But I don't think that the guy who wrote it realized about the squeeze mechanics. I think what it was is like, haha, you're gonna burn to death. Right?
He was doing Grimtooth. He read Grimtooth, and he was like,
read Grimtooth. He read Grimtooth. Oh man.
All right, what else we got here?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Lone Squiff wants to know if you, Benno, have any horror stories, but my understanding is you've never done an application before, so that doesn't apply.
Not application horror stories, but I know people in real life that we would no longer accept into the group. I could talk about them if you like, but
I was gonna say we only have 8 minutes before I gotta go, so let's save that for a different stream. Let's
okay, fair enough.
Let's make a note of that to do a different stream.
All right, what do we got? Some other questions?
Yeah, what else we got? What are some systems that you'd like to explore either as a player or GM? I'd like to play in a Star Trek Adventures game that was halfway decent. I'd love that. I'd love to play in a 40k game that actually went more than a session. Also would like to play Avatar Legends as the Dark Avatar, but that's never gonna happen, so... what about you, Benno? Any systems you want to run or be a player in?
I have no cravings for systems I would like to play in because all of those cravings get satisfied. Which I know. I'm sorry, Elle. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me, you starved beast. Be gone, you fool. Be gone. In terms of running, 5th edition. And I think that's all I've really got on the brain right now in terms of stuff that I would want to... No, there is one specific game. As a DMing challenge, when I feel I'm ready, I'm going to do a Maid. I'm going to do Maid RPG.
God, you know what? You want to do Maid? I'll do Maid. I'll do it in a heartbeat. I love that thing.
I only know tales from my buddy Mike, and he was talking about like how it's just like kind of goofy, kind of stupid, maybe tweak it a little bit so it's less unbelievably creepy, and something more playable. But what it is that game is, he told me that it was a test for the DM in terms of your ability to improv and your ability to craft a narrative as fast and as coherently as possible, and then interweave that with all the other narratives that are going on, because that's how wild and crazy that sort of stuff goes.
Yeah, it is quite literally the improv test for your game master, and I've done it once or twice, and you know I got to say that for another stream because that's a whole tale in itself. But I think that actually leads to a next question that we have, and then I think we're done. Lord Garthon asks, any tips for making sessions longer? I feel like I run my sessions too fast. He specifically plays D&D 5th, but general tips are good too. So, honestly, what I found works best is sort of set your characters up, or your players up, to be in a scene together, And then let them just shoot the shit with each other. Let them riff off of one another. Just give them a downtime moment. Or even if you're like in the middle of a dungeon, like have them role play out a short rest, or have them do something that isn't just fight, 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 or puzzle, puzzle, puzzle. Just give the players opportunity to speak, and then just sort of sit back as GM and wait for them to address you directly. Now, it's going to feel awkward as shit at first, and you're going to feel like, oh, this silence is awkward. But the more you do it, and the more your players start to realize what you're doing, and they start to buy into it, that's how you get these long sort of stories and these long sort of developed characters, because you're sort of getting a glimpse behind the character that you wouldn't normally get if you ran them through a dungeon, or you ran them through, whatever it is you're running them through. So my advice would be to just let your players role play and let them come to you rather than you come to them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. As someone with the opposite problem, where we get nothing accomplished in 6 hours because we've spent the entire time role-playing back and forth. That's how do you go fast? How do you do that?
So maybe that's what we'll do for the next stream we do like this, is how do you go fast? Because, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I feel like I have the 1.5 to 3 hour time adventure nailed down pretty well, at least for Star Trek Adventures. So
wow,
maybe I do a stream about that.
I think a lot of because that's the thing. GMs struggle a lot with pacing. I know that. I think that's definitely going to be my main problem, because God, if they're going to roleplay, I ain't fucking cutting that off for a second.
Right. But as a GM that streams, or a GM that only has so much time, you have to have a knowledge of when to cut in, or when to push the puck forward, or basically when do you need to give your players a push. And tell you what, we'll do a stream about that. We'll look at the schedule. Yeah. We'll do a stream about that. But yeah,
sure thing.
All right, now hopefully I don't butcher the name a second time. Thran Uli, which I hopefully said right this time. What is the best new RPG that you have tried lately? Hands down, I would say Avatar Legends. I like what Avatar Legends does. It is true to the Avatar shows, both Airbender and Korra. I think it's a great Powered by the Apocalypse system. I know there's people out there that don't like Powered by the Apocalypse, but honestly, I'd tell you that if you're a fan of Avatar, either Airbender or Korra, I'd give Avatar Legends a shot when it comes out officially in a month or so, or maybe it's 2 months. Honestly, like it does the system, it does the setting justice. It does, much like how Star Trek Adventures makes you feel like you're in a real Star Trek episode, Avatar Legends does the same thing for its setting, for its show. So would recommend that. What about you, Benno? Anything you've tried recently that you've enjoyed?
I don't know if this is fair or counts, because it'll never see the light of day ever again. But right before we had to cut off and finish the previous campaign we were playing, my DM created an entirely custom system for, and again, this is why you don't really do this, but people will be who they are and do what they want and makes them feel right. My GM created and crafted an entire custom system of Naruto to work alongside and inside of Pathfinder, both in terms of working with it as its own additional piece that slides in with the rest of the Pathfinder world, and entirely reshaping Pathfinder into fully Naruto, which we played. I played Naruto. I got to play Naruto. Now with the characters, of course, of Naruto, we played our own custom characters with our own lineages and our own interesting stories that we weaved. And of course, he weaved an entire gigantic narrative in the same style-esque as Naruto, with completely custom characters from 0 to fucking 20. Yeah, it was fucking crazy, and it was super awesome. Sounds fun. And it was very fun. It was steeped completely in the Naruto lore. And one thing that worked out really well is he employed a social system with what is the thing? Persona. social ranks, whatever it is, a 10 rank social hangout system and whatnot that that like a ton of characters would have. So each of them had their own 10 rank system, which would give benefits for hanging out with that person, learning their lore, and then some of them would unlock missions, some of them would unlock insane benefits. One dude, I became best friends with the, like, I don't want to say Sasuke kid, but he was an Uchiha-esque character who had the Sharingan, and we traded eyes. So each of us had one Sharingan.
That's, that probably is making Naruto fanboys have an aneurysm, and I think that's cool. But on the note of aneurysm, that is where I'm going to end the stream. So YouTube, thank you so much for tuning into the VOD. We hope you've enjoyed. And Twitch, stick around because we're going to rate somebody. But YouTube, bye-bye.